Chapter 1342. A lightning-type Tao artifact that is close to a divine artifact. What a familiar aura! What kind of Tao artifact is that? The voice in the demonic mirror was surprised and shocked again. After a moment of silence, the voice in the demonic mirror faintly sounded again. Human, I didn't expect you to have a peerless Tao artifact that can restrain the devil race. Moreover, you have the power of lightning punishment on you. You should be able to activate a part of its power. Fine, if you let Scarlet Nightmare go, I won't make things difficult for you. How about it? Hearing the Demon Sovereign's voice from the demonic mirror, Demon Emperor Scarlet Nightmare was shocked. Dugumujian was also dumbfounded. A ray of demonic light swept out from the demonic mirror and wrapped around Demon Sovereign Scarlet Nightmare before escaping from the valley. This Demon Sovereign actually knows the profound underworld lightning archive. I'm afraid there will be some trouble this time. Su Fong didn't feel proud at all after intimidating a Demon Sovereign. Law spoke from the blood jade in his body. The profound underworld lightning archive was famous during the Great War of Immortals and Demons. It killed countless devils. Demon Sovereigns are the peak experts of the entire devil world. They are old devils that have existed for countless years. It's not strange for them to know about the profound underworld lightning archive. Law continued, you have to be careful. This time, you must have been targeted by that Demon Sovereign. He used the underworld mystic demon mirror to cross realms. The price he paid is too great. He will definitely rush to this immortal domain from the devil world. Not only for the profound underworld lightning archive, but also for your perfect physical body. After failing to kill Demon Emperor Scarlet Nightmare and provoking another Demon Sovereign, Su Fong was very gloomy. However, when he thought of the harvest this time, he became excited again. 3 Frost Soul Blood Fetuses. The Ghoul Eater devoured a young devil and would definitely undergo another transformation. In addition, there were more than 1,000 devil experts that were killed. All of them were elites from the devil world. Their corpses were cultivation resources. In addition to the Ghoul Eater that was killed, not only could Su Fong use them, but the Ghoul Eater and the devil cultivators under him could also use these corpses to cultivate. Their strength would definitely increase greatly. Su Fong was a little regretful that Demon Emperor Scarlet Nightmare escaped. He couldn't get his hands on the powerful lightning warship. After putting all the corpses into the true dragon realm, he leaped into the air and arrived at the spell altar. After the ghoul devoured the young demon, its body exuded an astonishing aura. But this time, because it was too full, it was as if it was drunk and could not stand. It was absorbed into Su Fong's body. It would probably take a long time to completely digest the young demon. There was also an immortal emperor trapped by the Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor on the altar. This old man's bones were clear and his face was refined. His aura was empty and his cultivation was at the same level as old monster Zhu Tian. He had almost become nourishment for the young demon, yet this person's expression was calm and indifferent. What is your name? Are you willing to submit to me? Su Fong asked in a majestic voice. How could he not accept such a powerful being as his subordinate? I am Reverend Peng Hua. Although I wasn't the lord of some immortal realm before, I was still the lord of a powerful cultivation clan. You want me to submit to you, an immortal realm cultivator? The old man said indifferently, his tone filled with supreme arrogance. Su Fong smiled coldly and said, If I hadn't saved you, you would have already died. Your body and cultivation would have become nourishment for the demon race. What right do you have to put on the airs of an immortal emperor in front of me? I won't make things difficult for you. I only want you to serve me for 10,000 years and obey my orders. After 10,000 years, I will return you your freedom. You saved my life and I will serve you for 10,000 years. This condition is not harsh. I will agree. Reverend Peng Hua nodded and agreed. Then, he closed his eyes and was absorbed into the true dragon realm by Su Fong. There were still 2 cultivators on the spell altar who were lucky enough to survive. They were both Immortal Realm 9 Dao Realm cultivators, who knew where the Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor had captured them. Su Fang didn't hesitate and took them in. Whoosh, Dugumujian flew across the sky and landed in the blood pool on the spell altar. He was trapped in the Devil Sky Blood River formation and his body was corroded by the devilish poison. The Devil Sky Blood River formation was a peerless formation of the demon race. It was extremely powerful. No matter how strong Dugumujian was, he was currently dispirited and looked like he would collapse at any moment. Dugumujian knelt in the blood pool and carefully collected the dust in the pool. Then, tears flowed down his face. Pfff. He let out a cry of grief, anger, and despair. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and fell straight into the blood pool. His true chi, cultivation, and life force rapidly disappeared. It turned out that when he saw the death of his beloved wife, he was filled with grief and anger. He already had the intention to die. In addition to the devilish poison attacking his heart, a peerless sword cultivator was about to fall. Dugumujian might be pedantic, but he is still a person with a good temperament. His strength is also not bad. It would be a pity for him to die like this. Su Fang struck out a Xian Guang that enveloped Dugumujian. He then activated the power of the 9 suns and entered Dugumujian's body. At the same time, he released the divine prowess of the primordial spirit to stabilize Dugumujian's divine aperture C. He stopped the loss of the primordial spirit, true chi, and life force. He then activated Gue Gue's detoxification ability and absorbed all the devilish poison in Dugumujian's body. 1 hour later, Dugumujian slowly woke up. He finally pulled this peerless expert back from the brink of death. Who knew that Dugumujian's sword-like eyebrows would twitch as he shouted angrily, "Who asked you to be a busybody and save me?" Su Fang said coldly, "In order to save your wife, you did not fear death. I thought you were a man, but I didn't expect you to be a weak and useless person." Dugumujian's eyes were about to spurt out fire. "You dare to mock me?" Su Fang spoke with disdain. "Your wife was kidnapped by Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare and became a tool to reproduce. What kind of humiliation is that? Now, Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare is still alive, but you are like a woman seeking death. If you are not weak and useless, what is?" Dugumujian was dumbfounded. Immediately after, his eyes shot out divine light of hatred as he gritted his teeth and said, "That's right. If Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare is not dead, how can I die? I will go and find Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare now. Even if I have to risk my life, I will take revenge for my beloved wife." Su Fang sneered with disdain. "Can you kill Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare? Your death is a small matter. If you can't take revenge for your wife, how can you have the face to meet her in the underworld?" Dugumujian was instantly discouraged. With his own strength, killing Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare wasn't a problem. However, Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare had the underworld mystic Devil Mirror. At the crucial moment, he could allow the Devil Emperor to cross the boundary and kill him. How could Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare kill him? Su Fang struck while the iron was hot. "If you want to take revenge, how can you succeed without the help of a powerful force? Become an expert under me, and I can help you kill Devil Emperor Scarlet Nightmare within 10,000 years. You." Dugumujian hesitated. Sword cultivators were all proud and arrogant, and Dugumujian was no exception. It was hard for him to accept submitting to Su Fang. Su Fang frowned and took out a Dao artifact while gritting his teeth. This Dao artifact was a set of mother-son twin swords. It emitted a shocking sword intent of destruction. Once it was activated, it could burst out a shocking power that could destroy a space-time. This is one of the 10 great Dao artifacts, the twin swords of destruction. Dugumujian's eyes shot out a terrifying light. Twin swords of destruction. After killing Yen Xinxin, the twin swords of destruction naturally fell into Su Fang's hands. Su Fang also tried to fuse with them, but he was rejected by the sword spirit. Not everyone could control the 10 great Tao artifacts. First, they needed the recognition of the sword spirit, which also required luck and opportunity. Although the dragon-slaying immortal slaying bow was also one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, it was repaired by Tranquility Emperor after it was damaged. Although its power didn't decrease, it didn't have the spirituality of the 10 great Tao artifacts anymore. Su Fang could use the power of the purple Qi Dharma spirit to fuse with the twin swords of destruction. However, he couldn't exert the full power of the Tao artifact. Besides, Su Fang didn't lack Tao artifacts. He even had divine artifacts that were more powerful than the 10 great Tao artifacts. Therefore, he had been sealing the twin swords of destruction in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. The 10 great Tao artifacts in the immortal world were the most powerful Tao artifact. Dugumu was a sword cultivator. How could he not know about the twin swords of destruction? As soon as he saw the twin swords of destruction, his nature as a sword cultivator was exposed. He was like a man who was dying of thirst in the desert who saw a clear spring, or a pervert who had been imprisoned for 18 years who suddenly saw a naked beauty. One of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the twin swords of destruction. Are you willing to give it to me? Dugumu asked in disbelief. Su Fang said in a majestic voice, as long as you can fuse the twin swords of destruction, it's yours. I don't want you to be my slave. You can serve me for 10,000 years like immortal Peng Hua. Dugumu agreed without hesitation. I promise you, with the twin swords of destruction, I'll definitely kill Nightmare Demon Emperor and avenge my beloved wife. After 10,000 years, I'll kill myself and go to the underworld to accompany my beloved wife. Then I'll return the twin swords of destruction. Su Fang smiled bitterly. He had no way to deal with this peerless sword cultivator. He had 2 more immortal emperors under his command. Dugumu was a powerful sword cultivator. If he could fuse the twin swords of destruction, he could even kill Tranquility Emperor easily. Finally, I have the power to sweep across this immortal realm. Immortal Emperor Tianong, Tranquility Emperor, when I return to the immortal Ao Great World, it'll be the time for you to be annihilated. The third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit will finally be in my hands. Su Fang couldn't help but feel his blood boiling. His heart was full of expectation. First, I'll find the treasure of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor. Then, I'll leave the heaven-illuminating Thunder World and return to the immortal Ao Great World. The treasure of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor was right in front of him. How could Su Fang miss it? And that great Qin immortal emperor was also after the treasure of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor. Su Fang wouldn't let him go either. Floating above a mass of material around the giant peak, Nightmare Demon Emperor was brought here by the divine power of the Phantom Demon Mirror. Nightmare Demon Emperor said unwillingly, Lord Demon Emperor. A cold voice came from the demonic mirror. Qi Yen, there's no need to say anything more. Although I can use the Nether Passage demonic mirror to cross the boundary, the price I have to pay is too great. Moreover, that young human cultivator possesses an unparalleled lightning-type Tao artifact. Even I have to be wary of him, and can only temporarily avoid him. Who is he? This person's name is Su Fang. At Demandon's frontier fortress, he once prevented my demon army from entering this immortal realm. Moreover, the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Demon Emperor fell into his hands. There's also Demon Lord Ancient Deep within the sealed land of Giant Battle Canyon. It's highly likely that he controls him. Demon Emperor Crimson Nightmare slowly said. After a moment of silence, a faint voice came from the demonic mirror. Interesting. There's actually such a peerless figure in this desolate immortal realm. Once he matures, he will definitely be a threat to our demon race. It seems that I have to make a trip to this immortal realm personally. For a world immortal cultivator, Lord Demon Emperor has to come personally. Nightmare Demon Emperor was shocked. The Demon Emperor said again, "This person's body is full of yang qi. He will give me a chance to break through the bottleneck. Besides, he has a Thunder Dao artifact, ancient Netherworld Demon Emperor's body, and the inheritance of the Yellow Spring Devil Emperor. All of them are worth a trip. Nightmare Demon, you have to speed up. It's best if you take control of this immortal realm before I arrive. Once I obtain the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure, I will completely open up the passage in the Demon Dawn Fortress. The demon race's army will continuously enter the immortal realm. In less than 100 years, this immortal realm will become a wasteland. There's also that human cultivator Su Fong." Nightmare Demon Emperor's eyes flashed with demonic light. He revealed an evil and ferocious smile. "Today and tomorrow, in addition to the 3 chapters at normal times, 2 chapters will be added at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. / // our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1343. Buzz. Su Fong used the token as his source and sensed that there was an aura similar to the token in the giant mountain not far away from him. After determining the direction, he flew over with his feather fan. The world shackles around the giant mountain were extremely powerful, and there were natural barriers everywhere. Even immortal emperors did not dare to fly around on their swords casually. Su Fong also had to be careful. About half a year later, after passing through the natural barriers and spatial distortions, he finally arrived at the giant mountain. The mountain was thousands of miles wide and tens of thousands of feet tall. It formed a giant shackle that was majestic and heavy, making it hard for people to breathe. Chains of lightning fell from the top of the mountain, forming waterfalls of lightning. It was spectacular and breathtaking. There were also waves of lightning element divine aura that swept over one after another, giving people the illusion that they would be shattered into pieces at any time. What a great lightning mountain! There was actually such a spectacle in the immortal world, which shocked Su Fong. Buzz. There was a sudden movement in his body. It was not the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique, but the 2 tokens. He took out one of the tokens and immediately released a Xianguang. It actually flew towards the lightning chains automatically. He used the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to sense it. The direction the token was flying towards was the place where the aura of the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's treasure was. Could it be that the token will automatically bring me to the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's treasure? How strange. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and hesitated for a moment before following the token. Soon, he entered the area where the lightning was surging. The violent lightning element divine aura swept over and roared. There seemed to be a protective divine aura in the Xianguang released by the token. The shocking lightning did not affect it at all and directly passed through it. Su Fong quickly released his lightning element divine aura. At the same time, he activated the power of the world seed to connect with the divine aura of nature around him. He instantly merged with the divine aura of nature. Whoosh! Like a fish swimming in water, Su Fong strolled in the surging lightning and easily followed the token's speed. This was the huge benefit that the transformation of the world fragment and the increase in lightning element divine aura brought to Su Fong. After more than 6 hours, it flew to the front of the lightning chains, and the token passed between the 2 lightning chains. Behind the lightning chains, there was a turbulent wind tunnel formed by an invisible force of nature pulling space. It should lead to a certain space in the huge mountain. After the token entered the turbulent wind tunnel, it disappeared without a trace. Buzz. Su Fong took out the remaining token. Using the token as the source, he activated the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique. He sensed an aura similar to that of the medallion that had become even denser. This should be the so-called Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure trove. Su Fang no longer hesitated. He shuttled through the lightning chains and entered the turbulent wind tunnel. Whoosh! A huge tearing force surged in from all directions. Any divine ability lost its effect here. One could only rely on one's physical body to withstand it. Even with Su Fang's perfect physical body, under the endless tearing force, his skin was torn open, and the blood he spat out was instantly swallowed up by the surrounding turbulence. After about half an hour, Su Fang's body suddenly slowed down. The intense inertia caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Then his body fell heavily into an extraterritorial spacetime. Su Fang was dizzy from the fall. His body felt like it was falling apart. Fortunately, his primordial spirit and physical body were strong enough. Otherwise, even if he was not torn to pieces in the turbulent wind tunnel, his primordial spirit would have collapsed. Su Fang stood up shakily and scanned with his perfect abilities. This was a space in the huge mountain. Above, there was violent thunder, surging like an ocean. Clearly, the lightning in the huge mountain was spurting out from here. On the ground below, there was a huge lake more than 10 miles wide. No, this was not a lake. It was a lake of lightning that was condensed from lightning. It was like a solid liquid. This lightning was the complete opposite of the lightning above. It was dark and gloomy. Su Fang landed on the beach beside the lake. The sand was all black and heavy in his hand. He did not know what it was. "You're here too." Before Su Fang could get up, two voices came from both sides at almost the same time. Whoosh! Whoosh! Demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare and Great Qin Immortal Emperor aggressively passed through the layers of black sand and charged towards Su Fang. It turned out that the two of them had entered this place before Su Fang and had fought several times. When they saw Su Fang suddenly appear, they were both shocked and delighted. They both wanted to kill Su Fang. However, when they were about 30 meters away from Su Fang, they saw the cold smile on Su Fang's face. The two of them suddenly remembered that Su Fang was not a weak chicken that could be killed by them. He was a ferocious man-eating beast. "Since you're already here, then don't leave," Su Fang coldly said and released the demonic god monster, old monster Zhu Tian, Dugumujian, and enlightened master Peng Hua. Dugumujian had recovered more than half in the true dragon world, and Su Fang had also removed the shackles on enlightened master Peng Hua. When they saw demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare, their eyes immediately spat out fire. Without waiting for Su Fang to give the order, they charged towards demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare. The demonic god monster and old monster Zhu Tian also joined forces to attack the Great Qin Immortal Emperor. "Stop! If you dare to kill me, the demon sovereign will cross over from the demon world." Last time, demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare had used the demonic Sky Blood River formation to block Dugumujian. Now that he was alone, he was no longer the crazy Dugumujian. Furthermore, there was also enlightened Master Peng Hua, who also hated him. He did not hesitate to take out the underworld mystic demon mirror. This was his last life-saving method. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and stopped Dugumujian and enlightened Master Peng Hua. Su Fang was still very afraid of that demon sovereign. Even with the help of the Xianming Lightning Archive, the best result would be a lose-lose situation. However, there were clearly many restrictions for the demon sovereign to cross over. Unless it was a critical moment, demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare would not easily use the underworld mystic demon mirror. A dignified demon sovereign of the demon world actually relies on such a method to save his life. "Demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare, you really make me look down on you," Su Fang said disdainfully. Demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare had transformed into a human cultivator. His handsome face was flushed red with anger and humiliation. His eyes were burning with demonic flames, and his entire body was burning with anger. Not only were the demon race ferocious and evil, but they were also extremely arrogant. Furthermore, demonic Emperor Crimson Nightmare was also a peerless expert in the demon world, and he was also a member of the demon race's royal family. Now that he was forced to use such a shameless method by a human cultivator, his heart almost shattered from anger. On the other side, the great Qin Immortal Emperor's right arm was still in Su Fang's crucible transformation realm. After suffering such a heavy injury, his strength was far from recovering. He was no match for the immortal demon monster and old monster Zhu Tian, let alone the two of them working together. If it wasn't for the lightning rune talisman that could save his life and constantly teleport, he would have been killed on the spot. The great Qin Immortal Emperor, the ruler of the immortal world, who shook the entire immortal realm, was like a stray dog being chased around the cave. He was in a very sorry state. Where was the awe-inspiring might he had when he was chasing after Su Fang? This emperor will fight it out with you. At most, we will die together. The great Qin Immortal Emperor let out an earth-shattering roar and took out a lightning rune talisman with an ancient aura. Before he activated it, a shocking aura spread out from the rune talisman. Everyone present had the illusion that they would turn into ashes at any moment. The aura of the rune talisman caused the sea of lightning above to churn violently, and the lake of lightning below also rippled. This rune talisman is a divine talisman left behind by my great Qin Immortal World's ancestor. Although its power has weakened, as long as this emperor activates it, no one here will be spared. If you don't want to die together with me, then come up. The great Qin Immortal Emperor gritted his teeth like a rabbit that had been forced into a desperate situation. Another piece of trash that relies on the protection of his ancestors. The great Qin Immortal World's realm lord is only SOSO. Su Fang sneered disdainfully. He had yet to avenge his severed arm, and now he was being humiliated like never before in his life. The great Qin Immortal Emperor couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Suddenly, the lake water gushed out, and a stream of lake water condensed from thunder light gushed out equals N_1. Su Fang saw that there was actually a flying sword that was shot out along with the lake water. Moreover, it was a peak supreme grade flying sword, although it was slightly damaged. Following that, a few more lake water gushed out, sweeping out one item after another. There were Dao artifacts, immortal stones, gems, and storage rings. Could it be that there really is the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's treasure? Su Fang's eyes lit up with a hearty light as he flew directly towards the lake. The Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor also flew out at the same time. Unexpectedly, Su Fang turned around and shouted coldly, "You should feel extremely lucky that I spared your lives for now. How dare you try to snatch my treasures? You're courting death." The immortal demons and the others all flew into the sky, blocking the Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor outside the lake. They all had murderous looks on their faces. Before Su Fang came, the lake water gushed out several times, and the Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor both gained quite a lot. Now that Su Fang was here, they were already lucky to be alive. How could they have a share of the treasures? Although the two of them were furious, they could only grit their teeth and endure it. They could only watch as Su Fang calmly collected all the treasures without leaving a single one behind. Hearing Su Fang's delighted laughter, the two of them felt very sullen. Every few days, the lake water would gush out, and more treasures would be spewed out, becoming more and more precious. Su Fangda collected the treasures without restraint, and he was very happy. The Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor were blocked outside. Although Su Fang didn't attack them anymore, they didn't even get a single hair. In the end, they swallowed their anger and retreated to sit cross-legged on the ground. More than a month later, the lake water stopped gushing out, as if all the treasures had been emptied. Su Fang used the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to sense the lake water condensed by lightning. As he expected, the aura of the Tian Sha Thunder Emperor's treasure was at the bottom of the lake. Law reminded him from the blood jade in the depths of his body, "That's extreme lightning water. Don't try to enter the water to search for treasures. The Crimson Nightmare Devil Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor arrived here first, but they didn't enter the water to search for the Tian Sha Thunder Emperor's treasure. Obviously, they know the danger of the lake water. How can I not see that? Law, what is the extreme lightning water? Why haven't I heard of it before? The extreme lightning water is a type of lightning. It's completely different from the lightning elemental power of nature. It can suppress any of the 5 elemental powers of nature, as well as most Dharma treasures. Once you're trapped in it, you won't be able to use any of your Dharma treasures. Moreover, your physical body and primordial spirit will be attacked by the lightning water endlessly. I didn't expect there to be so much extreme lightning water here. Law's voice was filled with fear. Who knew that before he could finish his words, splash, 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 the lake water churned violently, and a small island was slowly lifted up by the lake water. The Tian Sha Thunder Emperor's treasure appeared on its own. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1344. The so-called island was actually a 500 feet tall rock. It was dark and barren. There was a cave in the middle of the rock. Xian Guang flashed inside, and one could vaguely see all kinds of treasures flying around in the cave. Whoosh! The Crimson Nightmare Demon Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor flew toward the huge rock at the same time, but they were blocked by Su Fang's subordinate. These 2 peerless experts had never encountered such a situation before. They could only look at the Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure in the cave, but they could not get close. Their anger burned again. It's actually the extreme magnetite. Luo exclaimed in surprise. Luo, extreme magnetite? The extreme magnetite is a kind of lightning-type ore. It can be refined into extreme magnetite essence, which can suppress the power of the 5 elements, mystical powers, and Dharma treasures made of metal. The extreme magnetite is very rare. Even I have not heard of such a huge one. However, the lightning waterfall abyss is filled with lightning-type natural power. When Yang reaches the extreme, will be born. It is not strange that it formed the extreme magnetite. Luo's words made Su Fang's eyes light up. Isn't this extreme magnetite a great treasure? Luo continued, I advise you to give up on this idea. The extreme magnetite is very difficult to refine, unless you are willing to spend millions of years on it. Su Fang was instantly discouraged. The extreme thunder water is not very useful to others, but it is very useful to you. The extreme thunder water is useful to me? Su Fang was instantly energized. The extreme thunder water is produced from the extreme magnetite essence. It contains a certain amount of extreme magnetite essence, which is also a kind of origin power. It can be used to cultivate a world seed. Su Fang was very happy. Then, he looked at the cave in the rock. That must be where the Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure was. Let me remind you, don't be blinded by the treasure. The Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure is very strange. Don't fail miserably. Su Fang was already very suspicious about the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure. With Law's reminder, he raised his eyebrows and immediately activated his great perfection ability to sense the cave on the huge rock. Unexpectedly, there was a strange power at the entrance of the cave. It should be the so-called extreme magnetism essence chi. Even the great perfection ability could not sense it. They could only see the treasures inside. Su Fang activated the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique. At the same time, he pushed his great perfection ability to the extreme. The next second, the divine light in Su Fang's eyes changed instantly. In the cave there were indeed many treasures, but many of them were illusions and not real existences. Affected by the magnetic essence chi at the entrance of the cave, if not for the life-shrinking technique and the great perfection stage ability, it would be difficult to discover them. What shocked Su Fang even more was that there was an emaciated old man sitting cross-legged in the depths of the cave. He wore a Taoist robe with thunder patterns on it, and he looked like a dried corpse. Su Fang sensed a strong aura of death and hostility from the old man. He was actually a resurrected immortal. This old man's aura was vast and more terrifying than any immortal emperor expert that Su Fang had ever seen. He was almost at the peak of the immortal emperor level. The old man's aura was not immortal chi, devil chi, or demon chi. Other than the aura of death and hostility, everything else was extreme Yin magnetism essence chi. What was especially strange was that this person's aura had merged with the entire extreme Yin magnetism essence chi, as if it was a part of the huge rock. A trap, Su Fang suddenly realized. The so-called Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor's treasure was actually a trap. The token that had been left outside and the treasures that had spurted out earlier were the bait. This terrifying resurrected immortal was obviously trapped inside. As for why he had lured experts here, Su Fang still did not understand. However, from the skeletons that littered the inside of the cave, he could conclude that this person's purpose was obviously not to lure experts into the cave and treat them to a meal. If I had directly entered the extreme Yin thunder water to search for treasures. Su Fang shuddered. Sweeping his gaze across the space, Su Fang's heart instantly sank. There was no way out of this space at all. The only way in was through the wind tunnel. It was impossible to go against the flow of the wind out. Even a great perfection stage physical body would be torn to pieces. Looking at the turbulent sea of lightning above, Su Fang's heart instantly calmed down. Then, he gritted his teeth. Let's collect the extreme Yin thunder water first, then think of a way to leave. Activating the divine power of the world seed, he enveloped the entire lake of extreme Yin thunder water. Then, a burst of yin-yang power erupted. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The extreme Yin thunder water was incomparably heavy. Moreover, when the power of the 5 elements seeped into it, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. Fortunately, Su Fang's yin-yang power was not part of the 5 elements. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to collect it. After collecting all the extreme Yin thunder water into the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace, the huge rock lost the support of the extreme Yin thunder water and fell heavily into the huge pit at the bottom of the lake. A lake appeared in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. Sensing the origin magnetic essence chi in the extreme Yin thunder water, the reincarnation sword spirit said in a fearful voice, "Master, the aura of this black water makes me feel like I'm being suppressed. Who would have thought that the extreme Yin thunder water would be so powerful?" Even the Yellow Springs reincarnation sword felt fear. It was a pity that it could not extract the origin magnetic essence chi from the extreme Yin thunder water. It could only be used to cultivate the world seed. The world seed started to absorb the extreme Yin origin magnetic essence chi in the extreme Yin thunder water. At first, it was very slow, but in the end it started to absorb without restraint. The cocoon-like world seed that had not completely formed started to change. The lotus seed head became clearer and clearer. At the center of the lotus seed head, one could faintly see a seed that was being nurtured. Seeing Su Fang's strange actions, the Crimson Mantis Demonic Emperor and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor could not help but feel surprised. Although they did not understand Su Fang's intentions, they felt a wave of regret. If they had known earlier, they would have collected all the extreme Yin thunder water as soon as they arrived. It would definitely be of great use. If you want to lure me, Su Fang, into a trap, then you'll have to pay a higher price. Su Fang looked at the huge rock at the bottom of the lake, his eyes exuding coldness. After flying forward for some distance, he looked like he wanted to take it but stopped. Inside the cave of the huge rock, the mummified resurrected immortal suddenly opened his eyes. A sharp ray of light shot out from his eyes as he said in a gloomy voice, "Damn brat, you didn't take the treasure when there was one. Instead, you collected the useless extreme Yin thunder water. Looks like the temptation of the treasure was not enough. Whoosh! A storage ring shot out from the cave. Su Fong flew out like lightning and grabbed the storage ring. He split a strand of his consciousness into the storage space. There were actually more than 1,000,000 peak-grade ancient medicinal pills inside. Seeing this, Su Fong's heart jumped. After putting away the storage ring, Su Fong shook his head and sighed. There are only so many medicinal pills. They're not very useful. 1,000,000 peak-grade medicinal pills, and they're not very useful? The eyes of the resurrected immortal in the cave were filled with anger. After a moment of silence, another peak-grade water-type flying sword shot out from the cave. Enlightened Master Pringhua could not help but cry out, "This Tao artifact is suitable for this emperor. Here." Su Fong grabbed the flying sword and threw it to Enlightened Master Pringhua. The latter caught the flying sword with both hands, his eyes flashing with excitement. Su Fong approached the entrance of the cave, but when he was still more than 1,000 feet away, he stopped and muttered to himself, "This cave is lifeless. If it's full of useless treasures, it's not worth the risk." The resurrected immortal in the cave roared in a low voice, "Cowardly and greedy low-level cultivator, I'll suck you dry later." Pooh! 3 more treasures shot out in succession. Su Fong waved his sleeves and collected them all. Seeing Su Fong collecting the treasures, the faces of Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare and the Great Qin Immortal Emperor in the distance twitched. The Great Qin Immortal Emperor could not help but take out that powerful talisman again. Su Fong continued to fly towards the cave, and he was only about 30 meters away from the cave. The eyes of the resurrected immortal in the cave flashed with greed. Although this person's cultivation is ordinary, he has a perfect physical body and an extremely pure yang qi. If I devour him, I'll be able to leave this damned extreme magnetic stone. Suddenly Su Fong turned around and flew back several times faster than when he came. In the blink of an eye, he flew out of the lake. The resurrected immortal in the cave was dumbfounded. Did he find out? Impossible, even an ordinary immortal supremacy would not be able to see through the essence light. Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare, Great Qin Immortal Emperor, Su Fong said in a majestic voice. The 2 experts, one immortal and one fiend, looked at Su Fong cautiously. Su Fong continued, "How about I make a deal with you? The treasures in the sky-killing Lightning Emperor's treasury are all ordinary goods. Moreover, I already have countless treasures, so I'm not interested in the sky-killing Lightning Emperor's treasury. Why don't I let you go in and search for treasures? You just need to give me a sum of money. Don't even think about it." The Great Qin Immortal Emperor and Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare shouted coldly in unison. The Great Qin Immortal Emperor sneered. "The sky-killing Lightning Emperor is the ancestor of my Qin clan. Unfortunately, he died here. I am the descendant of the sky-killing Lightning Emperor. Even if you enter the treasury, you won't be able to take away my ancestors' peerless treasures. The true inheritance belongs to me. Why should I exchange with you?" Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare said coldly, "Do you really think I'm an idiot? I've been tricked by you once. Do you think I'll fall for it a second time?" Su Fong felt helpless. It seemed like it was better to be honest. He originally wanted to swindle a few treasures before he left. "Since that's the case, you guys go ahead and search for treasures. I won't accompany you." Su Fong put away the experts under him and flew into the distance. The Great Qin Immortal Emperor and Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare looked at each other in surprise. Damn it! What a cunning fellow! He really found out. Even if I have to sacrifice my vitality, I'll kill you. The resurrected immortal roared in anger. Rumble! A huge rock suddenly rose into the sky. A dazzling light shot out from the cave. The Great Qin Essence Magnetic Essence Qi instantly covered the entire space, forming a domain like a huge magnetic field. In an instant, Su Fong felt as if the true Qi in his body had solidified. Even taking out the magic treasures on him became difficult, let alone activating them. The 5 elements were the foundation of cultivation. Fiend Emperor Crimson Nightmare had devoured countless immortal Tao cultivators, and his physical body had already fused with too much power of the 5 elements. At this moment, he was even more suppressed. Roar! The Fiend Emperor immediately transformed into his demon form and used his powerful physical strength to break free from the shackles. Then, he burned his demon blood in exchange for power and forcibly activated the demon sword. Whoosh! The demon sword flew uncontrollably towards the huge rock cave like a moth flying into a flame. The great Qin Immortal Emperor also unleashed his lightning elemental divine might in an attempt to resist the monstrous and terrifying great Yin essence magnetic essence Qi. Unexpectedly, in the next second, his body was thrown into the cave like a piece of iron hitting a huge magnet. The great Yin essence magnetic essence Qi is formed by the extreme Yin lightning. You're actually stupid enough to use lightning elemental divine might to resist the great Yin essence magnetic essence Qi. Ha ha, become my nutrients. The resurrected immortal's maniacal laughter came from the cave. The great Qin Immortal Emperor was engulfed by a ray of light and was swallowed into the cave. After a while, his miserable cries came from inside intermittently, "Old ancestor, I'm your descendant. Let me go. I was delayed by something, so I'm 1 hour late." The 5 chapters will be updated as before, =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1345. Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. The resurrected immortal's voice became hesitant. That's right. The cultivators that I devoured all said that I was the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. That's right. I seem to have a trace of memory in my remaining consciousness. The great Qin Immortal Emperor's surprised voice sounded, "Old ancestor, you remember. The records of our ancestors said that you entered the Thunder Waterfall Abyss and found this extreme Yin magnetite. Then, you went into seclusion to cultivate and never came out. Later on, the Qin clan sent many experts to look for you, but none of them returned this damned extreme Yin magnetite. When I woke up, I fused with it and couldn't leave this place. Only by devouring the bodies of other cultivators could I get rid of the melting power. Then, I refined tokens and tried to send them out. Who knew that I would only attract a bunch of trash? This time, my luck is pretty good. Haha, an immortal emperor, a demon emperor, and a cultivator with such vigorous life force. After devouring you, not only can I leave this place, I can also advance to the next level. Old ancestor, I'm your descendant." Descendant? Even if I'm really the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor, in order to escape, I can even devour my own son. Who cares if you're my descendant? The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's laughter was filled with ruthlessness. However, the great Qin Immortal Emperor didn't make any more noise. Obviously, he was devoured by the resurrected Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. The master of the great Qin Immortal Realm, the peerless Immortal Emperor who shook this immortal realm, died just like that. Whoosh! A figure flew out of the cave. It was the resurrected Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor. However, he no longer looked like a mummy. Instead, he looked exactly like the great Qin Immortal Emperor. However, his eyes were dark and deep, as if they contained terrifying Yin lightning. His entire body was filled with a vast amount of death Qi and evil Qi. There was also the extreme Yin magnetite essence Qi. Su Feng was shocked and surprised. He activated the power of the yin-yang world and combined it with the ethereal primordial realm to force away the shackles around him. The power of the yin-yang world was indeed amazing. The extreme Yin magnetite essence Qi could restrain the power of the 5 elements, but it couldn't restrain the power of the yin-yang world formed by the fusion of the yin-yang world and the world fragment. Ha ha ha! The Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor laughed loudly. A violent and evil aura filled the entire cave, as if he was the evil god of death that ruled over death. The Sky Slaughter Lightning Emperor charged towards Su Fong and the Crimson Nightmare Emperor. Who would have thought that just as he flew 100 feet away, a huge force would come from behind him and suck his body back, causing him to crash heavily into a huge rock. Damn it, I still can't break free from the extreme in-origin magnetic stone. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor roared angrily. Su Fong couldn't help but mock and ridicule. Even if I can't leave the lunar magnetic stone, I can still kill you easily. The Sky Slaughter Thunder Emperor said viciously. A gray Xian Guang with a strong evil aura rolled towards the Su Fong. A primordial spirit attack? Su Fong's lips curled into a disdainful smile. The black Xian Guang, which was formed by the second primordial spirit, shot out from its eyes. Chi. Chi. The second primordial spirit's surging primordial spirit sword Chi instantly swept away the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's evil intent. What a powerful primordial spirit! So you actually have the primordial spirit of a primordial spirit in your body. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's eyes were filled with seriousness. I've devoured countless primordial spirits and consciousnesses. Even the primordial spirit of a primordial spirit can't suppress my primordial spirit. What can a primordial spirit do to me if I can kill a puny world immortal like you? I'll let you have a taste of the power of the extreme in-origin magnetic chi. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor sneered disdainfully. A ray of light formed by the extreme in-origin magnetic chi burst out from the huge rock behind him. It quickly condensed into a ring of light that was more than 10 feet wide. It distorted the surrounding space and arrived in front of Su Fong in an instant, wanting to shackle him. A white figure suddenly appeared in front of Su Fong. It struck out with a mixed-colored ring that emitted a strange chaotic aura. It was Bai Ling, who had just become a demon emperor. Su Fong used the power of the Yin-Yang world to shatter the shackles around him and released her from the true dragon world. The ring rapidly enlarged into a black circle that was more than 10 feet wide and collided with the ring of light. Boom! 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 The ring of light was shattered layer by layer, but the black circle didn't move an inch. The Chaos Ring was a peerless Tao artifact that was at the same level as the 10 Great Tao artifact. Furthermore, Bai Ling had obtained the inheritance of the Heaven Monarch of Chaos. After becoming a demon emperor, her strength had increased tremendously. At this moment, the power of chaos that was unleashed was astonishing. The power of chaos wasn't part of the 5 elements. The extreme in-origin magnetic chi that could restrain the 5 elements couldn't do anything to the power of chaos, let alone the Chaos Ring. As the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor activated the extreme in-origin magnetic stone, it instantly caused the sea of thunder above to roar. The lightning suddenly sank downwards. The terrifying power of the thunder element seemed to want to destroy this space and time. The extreme in-origin magnetic stone contained Yin thunder. It attracted the yin and yang of the thunder element's power of nature. Nature was so mysterious. It was no wonder that the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor couldn't escape and had no choice but to live in the extreme in-origin magnetic stone. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor didn't dare to activate the extreme in-origin magnetic stone carelessly anymore. He looked at Bai Ling in surprise. It's actually a demon emperor. What a strange Tao artifact. What a strange power. Bai Ling said proudly, with the Chaos Immortal here, a corpse like you won't be able to act arrogantly. If it weren't for the restrictions, killing you too would be like squashing ant. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor snorted. His gaze landed on the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor. I'll kill you first, devour you, and completely escape from the extreme in-origin magnetic stone. Then, I'll deal with the 2 of you. You want to kill me? It's not that easy, the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor roared angrily. His left arm exploded. The underworld mystic Devil Mirror spewed out a cloud of blood mist and quickly swallowed it. Ripples immediately appeared on the surface of the mirror. Then, a cold voice sounded. Scarlet Nightmare, This is the second time you've activated the underworld mystic devil mirror. Did you encounter some danger again? You are really useless. The Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor shouted, "Devil Lord, save me!" This time, it's a revived immortal who has the extreme origin magnetic chi. A wave of majestic devil chi with the power to distort space rolled out from the underworld mystic devil mirror. It actually weakened the shackles in the space to the extreme. A devil lord actually crossed the boundary and came here. Let's go. Su Fang originally planned to kill the Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor with his second primordial spirit and the underworld mystic devil mirror. He didn't expect the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor to be so desperate to lure a devil lord from the devil world. How could he dare to stay? He just put Bai Ling into the true dragon world. Want to leave? I'm here. All of you can stay here. A domineering voice sounded from the underworld mystic devil mirror. Then, a pale hand reached out from the mirror and grabbed at Su Fang. Su Fang felt the space around him solidify. He couldn't even move a finger as he moved toward the mirror. Boom! He activated all the thunder punishment power in his body. A wave of shocking thunder divine might burst out. The shackles around him shook, but they didn't break. The strength of a Devil Lord expert was so strong. However, Su Fang's thunder divine might wasn't to break the shackles. It was to activate the power of the extreme magnetic stone. The extreme magnetic stone burst out with a monstrous amount of magnetic essence chi, and the sea of thunder above was completely activated by the extreme magnetic essence chi. It was as if a tsunami had been triggered. Monstrous thunderbolts rolled down and quickly enveloped the entire space. After a long time, the thunderstorm in the space calmed down. More than half of the extreme magnetic stone was smashed into the dry bottom of the lake by the violent energy. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor's roar came from inside. "Damn you, I'm going to suck you dry. Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor, that human cultivator has already taken the opportunity to escape. As for you, suffer my wrath." It was unknown when a big black ship appeared in the space. It was the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor. Even though he had released the Thunderbreaker battleship and luckily escaped the calamity, the Thunderbreaker battleship was now broken and incomplete. It had been completely destroyed and turned into a dilapidated ship. Other than the Scarlet Nightmare Devil Emperor, there was an additional middle-aged man on the ship. His skin was pale, and his eyes were as red as blood. He had a profound aura that was as vast as the starry sky. However, his aura seemed to be a little chaotic. It was obvious that he had crossed over from the devil world and encountered a thunderstorm. He was severely injured. The Heavenly Slaughter Lightning Emperor laughed wildly. "Devil Lord? A Devil Lord actually came? So what if you are a Devil Lord? Ha, just stay and accompany me. I won't be lonely in the future." Thunder Waterfall Abyss. A burst of shocking lightning spurted out, forming a lightning pillar that shot up into the sky. When the impact of the lightning pillar was exhausted, it turned into a lightning waterfall that flowed into the abyss. A figure flew out from the lightning and quickly left the sky above the Thunder Waterfall Abyss. Su Fang attracted a thunderstorm that swept across the space. The power that the Devil Lord used to shackle Su Fang was completely shattered in less than a breath's time. At the same time, it also helped Su Fang to neutralize the enormous power of the thunderstorm. Su Fang used all his strength to activate the power of the World Seed and the divine might of the Thunder Punishment. He executed the ethereal primordial realm and formed a domain that merged with the storm. Then, he used the lightning to shrink and spurt out to escape. If it wasn't for the baptism of the lightning, the transformation of the Thunder Punishment True Body, the transformation of the World Fragment, and the improvement of the Ethereal True Solution, he definitely wouldn't have been able to escape this calamity. Even so, Su Fang still paid a huge price and almost lost half of his life. However, compared to the huge gains from this trip to the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, these losses were nothing. I wonder if the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor and the Crimson Mantis Devil Emperor managed to escape this calamity. Did the Devil Lord from the Devil World successfully cross the boundary? Su Fang didn't know that the resurrected Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor hid in the extreme magnetic stone and was naturally safe. He even found a companion. With the strength of the Heavenly Slaughter Thunder Emperor, he was naturally not a match for the Devil Lord. However, with the help of the extreme magnetic stone, it was easy for him to capture a Devil Lord who crossed the boundary by traveling through space. In the future, he would no longer be lonely. Return to the immortal Ao Great World. It's time to find immortal Emperor Tian Ong and take back the third part of the magic spirit. It's time to settle the old scores. There's also the tranquil Emperor's mansion and the clear sky myriad scroll gate. I won't let any of them go. Su Fang threw the matter of the Thunder Waterfall abyss to the back of his mind. He released old monster Zhu Tian and entered the true dragon world. He let old monster Zhu Tian bring him out of the Zhu Tian Thunder World and went straight to the immortal Ao Great World. The immortal Ao Great World was originally filled with the flames of war. With Su Fang's return, what kind of bloody storm would it set off? I'm even late for the 5th chapter today. I've overestimated myself. The more impatient I am, the slower I'll be. 5 chapters a day is already the limit. It's so sad that I didn't save any chapters. / equals _ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1346. Great Qin Celestial Realm. The Great Qin Celestial Realm was also known as the Thunder Qin Celestial Realm or the Great Qin Empire, because it was a unified empire and was famous for its lightning-type divine art. Royal City. Whoosh, a red-robed elder appeared above the royal city. It was old monster Zhu Tian who came from the lightning realm. Master, we have arrived at the royal city of the Great Qin Empire. Old monster Zhu Tian said respectfully. A speck of dust flew up from old monster Zhu Tian's red robe and turned into a 5-colored lotus. Then, Su Fang flew out from the light and took the true dragon world into his body. Master, should we conquer the Great Qin Celestial Realm directly? Old monster Zhu Tian's eyes flashed. Su Fang said indifferently, the situation of the 8 great worlds is not clear yet. Conquering a great world would cause too much commotion. Let's not think about it for now. Let's go to the royal city first and ask for some information. At the same time, we can ask the Great Qin Celestial Emperor for hunting me down. Although he is dead, the Great Qin Celestial Realm still has to pay for it. Old monster Zhu Tian thought, the Great Qin Celestial Realm is going to be unlucky. Great Qin Celestial Emperor, why did you provoke such a monster? This time, even if the Great Qin Celestial Realm is not destroyed, it will lose a layer of skin. After putting old monster Zhu Tian into the true dragon world, Su Fang took out the mask. A flame came out of his palms and refined the mask into a new golden mask. He put it on his face and went straight to the royal city. The flames of war were burning in the celestial realm. Since the Great Qin Celestial Realm was at the edge of the Celestial Realm, there was no war for now. However, the atmosphere was tense. Not only was the boundary of the Great Qin Celestial Realm activated, but the royal city also activated the boundary. One could only enter the royal city through the city gate and pay a huge amount of immortal essence pills. Su Fang very straightforwardly handed over the entrance fee. But who would have thought that the Great Qin Empire cultivators guarding the city would extort twice the amount of immortal essence pills? The reason was very simple. Who asked him to look like a rich man and wear a golden mask, causing the Great Qin Empire cultivators to be extremely displeased with him. He headed straight for the Hongxing Hall Chamber of Commerce. First, he bought information about the various forces in the Chamber of Commerce. Then, he asked Qiu Ranjing of the Treasure Refining Dojo to bring the elixirs and magic treasures refined by the Treasure Refining Dojo and Treasure Refining Dojo of the True Dragon Realm to trade with the Chamber of Commerce of the Hongxing Hall. Huyen Shinrikyo has been divided by various forces? This was not out of Su Fang's expectations. They had lit a fire in Huyen Shinrikyo, and it was only a matter of time before Huyen Shinrikyo was destroyed. To Su Fang's surprise, the two behemoths, Emperor Ning's mansion and the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm, both suffered great losses after the initial fierce collision. Then they stopped fighting, gave up the fight for the Xianao macro world, and expanded to the surrounding macro world. Emperor Ning's mansion showed its strong foundation and was invincible. After completely annexing the constellation of 9 heavens, its sphere of influence expanded to the Yuanlu macro world. According to the Chamber of Commerce, after Emperor Ning got the ethereal insight from the Star Palace, he absorbed the origin of the Yuanlu macro world with the help of the tyrannical Emperor's heaven soaring technique. Now, he had completely controlled the Yuanlu macro world. He broke through the bottleneck that had shackled him for many years, and his strength increased greatly. According to the Chamber of Commerce, the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm had received strong support from other immortal realms, and its power expanded more rapidly than Emperor Ning's mansion. It first annexed the surrounding sky-bearing world, and then the Great Qian Immortal Realm joined the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Now, the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm was even more powerful than Emperor Ning's mansion. This is a bit troublesome, Su Fang raised his eyebrows. It would not be easy to take back the third part of the Purple Qi Dharma Spirit. Huang Lingyao is really not simple. There were also stories about Huang Lingyao in the news. During the war in the sky-bearing world, Huang Lingyao seriously injured an ordinary immortal emperor of the sky-bearing great world with Yunxiao's thunder sword. Now, he was like a rising sun in the sky, and his fame spread throughout the immortal realm. His fame was unmatched, and he became the #1 person among the younger generation. Huang Lingyao also needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will be a big problem in the future. He roughly understood the situation in the immortal realm. Qiu Ran, who was sent to trade with the Chamber of Commerce, returned with a furious look. The Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce has gone too far. What happened? Now, the price of all kinds of elixirs and magic treasures has increased by more than 3 times, especially the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, which is priceless. However, the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce is still trading with us at the same price. They are too arrogant. It seems that Wang Yuzhen has been having a hard time these years. I was too naive in the past. Without the support of a strong force, how could the Great Star Hall, which is a chamber of commerce in the great immortal realm, trade with us fairly? Try to contact Wang Yuzhen and ask her to stop trading with the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce. Let's open our own Chamber of Commerce. Su Fang sneered. The True Dragon Realm's Elixir Refinement Hall and Artifact Refinement Hall would not be able to sell their magic treasures and elixirs. Let's go to the Royal Palace. Su Fangda swaggered across the sky and arrived above the Royal Palace. Looking down, his majestic voice resounded throughout the Royal Palace. Great Qin Immortal Emperor, come out and see me. In an instant, swoosh, 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 swoosh. One by one, the experts of the Great Qin Immortal Realm rushed out from the Royal Palace. Who are you? How dare you act so presumptuously in the Royal Palace of the Great Qin Empire? A Peak Immortal Emperor roared in anger. The Great Qin Immortal Emperor owes me money, but he doesn't dare to show up like a coward. I'm here to collect the debt, Su Fang said confidently. How dare you humiliate the Immortal Emperor? You are courting death. The cultivators of the Great Qin Immortal Realm unleashed their auras and took out their magic treasures, charging towards Su Fang in an overwhelming manner. Boom! Old monster Zhu Tian was released, and a monstrous aura burst out. In an instant, the entire royal palace turned into a domain of lightning and fire, and he was the supreme ruler of this domain. The aura of the Great Qin Immortal Realm's cultivators was instantly shattered, and they couldn't even stay in the air and fell to the ground like dumplings. The royal palace that was floating on the ground suddenly sank, and the palaces shook violently. The defensive formation was activated, and it emitted a dazzling light. Everyone in the royal palace felt the immense pressure, and they all trembled and trembled. Old monster Zhu Tian. It's you! An angry roar came from the royal palace, and an old man in a lightning robe flew over. He was also an immortal emperor expert, and his aura was extremely vast. However, he was slightly weaker than the Great Qin Immortal Emperor. The Qin clan had controlled the Great Qin Immortal Realm for millions of years, and their foundation was naturally incomparably strong. It was not strange for them to have two immortal emperors. The old man was furious, and he shouted, "Old monster Zhu Tian, my Great Qin Immortal Realm has never offended you. Why did you come to my royal palace and cause trouble? Indeed, the Great Qin Immortal Realm has never offended me, but I'm here today to accompany my master to collect a debt." Old monster Zhu Tian laughed strangely. "Master?" The old man looked at Su Fang, and his eyes were filled with shock. Where did this big shot come from? He actually took old monster Zhu Tian as his subordinate? This time, the Great Qin Immortal Emperor owed me a huge debt at the lightning world of Zhu Tian, but he went into hiding and disappeared. I can only come here to collect the debt. Su Fang said domineeringly. The old man suppressed his anger and said coldly, "Do you have any proof?" Su Fang was startled, and he touched his nose and said, "Proof? I don't have any." "You don't have any proof, and you're here to collect the debt with empty words. You've gone too far." Su Fang said coldly, "When I entered the royal palace, I was blackmailed by your Qin clan. This is the truth. I'm here to ask for an explanation." Do you think that just because the Supreme Immortal Emperor of the Great Qin Immortal Realm isn't here, we have the right to let you do whatever you want? Old monster Zhu Tian, this is the Great Qin Imperial Palace. No matter how strong you are, can you fight against the entire Great Qin Immortal Realm? The old man sneered, and he didn't hide his threat. Reason is never as strong as the fist. This saying is indeed true. Su Fang smiled faintly. Whoosh, the immortal demon monster was released from the true dragon world by Su Fang, and it immediately released a strange and shocking aura that was a mixture of immortal and demon. It enveloped the surroundings, and it was even more terrifying than old monster Zhu Tian's divine aura. The old man from the Great Qin Immortal Realm felt the true qi in his body become chaotic, and he couldn't help but stagger. He used all his lightning divine aura to barely stabilize himself, and his face was full of shock. Another immortal emperor, and he's even stronger than old monster Zhu Tian. Who is this person? He has two immortal emperors under him. How did the Great Qin Immortal Realm offend such a peerless character? Su Fang said indifferently, "Now I have the right to reason with you, right?" The old man gritted his teeth and said, "If the Great Qin Immortal Realm has offended you, please forgive us. How can I appease your anger? Please tell me." Su Fang said faintly, "It's very simple. Just let me go to the palace's treasury. That's all." Go to the palace's treasury, and that's all? The old man's eyes were burning with anger, and then a trace of ruthlessness flashed across. "It seems like I'm still not qualified enough," Su Fang said majestically. Whoosh! Dugumujian was directly taken out from the true dragon world by Su Fang. This peerless sword cultivator, whose strength was enough to look down on this immortal realm, was fusing the dual annihilation swords in a secret realm that was specially created for him in the true dragon world. At this moment, he was directly taken out by Su Fang, and he even had to play the role of a hired thug. His face was full of unwillingness. If you don't want the Great Qin Empire to be destroyed, try your best to satisfy whatever conditions he puts forward, Dugumujian said stiffly, as if he had nowhere to vent his anger. Another powerful immortal emperor. Just this person alone can destroy the Great Qin Immortal Realm. Cold sweat poured out from the old man's back. He said in a trembling voice, "Young master, you should be from another immortal realm. For the sake of the heavenly Tao immortal realm, please be magnanimous," Su Fang said disdainfully. "Heavenly Tao immortal realm, what is it? It won't be long before I take Long Tian-Ang's head. You actually use the heavenly Tao immortal realm as a life-saving straw?" The old man was shocked again. In the end, he had no choice but to say, "Please." Under the old man's lead, Su Fang came to the treasury of the great Qin Empire in the depths of the palace. Looking at the storage rings, treasure chests, and various alchemy and blacksmithing materials in the treasury, Su Fang's eyes suddenly shone brightly. The treasury of the great Qin immortal realm was not much different from the inheritance of the Yellow Spring Devil Emperor. Of course, there was not a single peerless Tao item like the Yellow Spring Reincarnation Sword. Whoosh! Activating the power of the true Dragon Realm's magic treasures, Su Fang swept away all the treasures and resources in the treasury. Not even a strand of hair was left. Bandits, where did these bandits come from? The old man's face was twitching, his heart was bleeding, but he was rejoicing in his heart. Luckily, the treasures accumulated by the great Qin immortal world were all kept in the secret chamber. Other than the monarch, no one knows, Su Fang suddenly asked. The treasures of the great Qin immortal realm are all here. The old man's heart jumped, but he replied respectfully without showing any expression. They are all here. If you don't believe me, you can search the entire palace. Search? Of course. Of course, Su Fang would not be polite. However, it was not a search, but, using the right arm of the great Qin immortal emperor as the source, he activated the heavenly Tao life shrinking technique. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1347. Seeing that Su Fang was trying to sense the great Qin celestial realm's hidden treasures, the old man's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery. Who knew that in the next second Su Fang raised his eyebrows and a strange light flashed in his eyes. With the great Qin celestial emperor's blood essence as the source, how could the great Qin celestial realm's hidden treasures escape Su Fang's detection? Not to mention, he also had the power of the world seed, the ethereal enlightenment, and the earth element's power. Under the great Qin celestial realm's king city, Su Fang sensed an aura similar to the great Qin celestial emperor's. It was the location of the great Qin celestial realm's hidden treasures. What surprised Su Fang was that the hidden treasures had merged with the great Qin celestial realm's world origin. Even if an outsider found the location of the hidden treasures, they would not be able to take it away unless they merged with the world origin and controlled the great Qin celestial realm. The great Qin celestial emperor was originally a celestial emperor who was slightly weaker than the Tranquility Emperor and the Tian-Ong celestial emperor. In the great Qin celestial realm, the Tranquility Emperor's heaven-conquering technique could not use its full strength with the help of the world's power. In the great Qin celestial realm, the Tranquility Emperor was not necessarily a match for the great Qin celestial emperor. Who would dare to steal the great Qin celestial realm's world origin? The Qin clan's hidden treasures that have been accumulated for millions of years belong to me, Su Fang. The great Qin celestial realm's world origin is also mine. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a bright light. He secretly said to the celestial demon monster, "Shackle this celestial emperor of the great Qin celestial realm." The second primordial spirit said coldly, "Do you want me to possess him?" Su Fang thought for a while and replied, "Can I control his consciousness and make him my subordinate?" As your cultivation level increased, I continued to cultivate with the help of the 9 Yin Qi and other Yin Qi. The power of my primordial spirit was also constantly transforming. It has already surpassed the celestial emperor's power. I don't need to devour this old man's consciousness. I can barely use Knight's primordial spirit manipulation technique to control his consciousness. However, I need my heavenly demon blood plate and old monster Zhu Tian's help. Su Fang immediately sent a voice transmission to old monster Zhu Tian, Old Monster Zhu Tian, attack! Boom! Old Monster Zhu Tian looked at the old man from the great Qin celestial world beside him and suddenly released a shackling force. Immortal emperors were indeed powerful. This old man had spent his entire life cultivating in the great Qin celestial world and had long since fused with the power of the world. The power he unleashed was even more shocking. With a boom, he shattered Old Monster Zhu Tian's shackles. Old Monster Zhu Tian, you! The old man was both shocked and furious. He didn't expect Old Monster Zhu Tian to attack. Old Monster Zhu Tian didn't reply. He sent out a spider monster that spat out thunderfire spider silk, forming a large net that covered the old man. At the same time, Su Fang also threw the heavenly devil blood plate above the old man's head. The dark devil light shrouded the old man, and the terrifying primordial spirit's divine aura violently attacked his divine aperture ocean. Chi. The second primordial spirit shot out from the body of the immortal devil monster and attacked the old man's divine aperture ocean. Attacked from both inside and outside, the old man struggled for 3 breaths. His body was shackled by Zhu Tian, and his primordial spirit in the sea of divine apertures was forcefully controlled by Night Demon's second primordial spirit. Master! The old man bowed respectfully to Su Fang like a slave. The great Qin celestial emperor had already fallen, and this old man was the only powerful expert left in the great Qin celestial world. Controlling him was equivalent to controlling the entire great Qin celestial world. Of course, it wasn't so easy to control a celestial world. The Qin clan had controlled the great Qin celestial world for millions of years, and it would take a long time for them to make countless cultivators submit to them. Su Fang didn't plan to completely control the great Qin celestial world. He wanted to control this old man first. Perhaps he could be of great use in the future. Old Monster Zhu Tian's second primordial spirit easily controlled the consciousness of an immortal emperor. He was shocked and terrified. If he hadn't chosen to submit or if he had any other thoughts, once his consciousness was controlled, he would be no different from a puppet. Not only would he lose his freedom, but his future cultivation would also be affected. Then, he rejoiced, I'm still the wise one. Su Fang couldn't wait to leave the palace's treasury and went to the heaven and earth divine altar that was used for worship in the great Qin Empire. On the surface, the heaven and earth divine altar was used for worship. However, it was also a place where the experts of the Qin clan in the great Qin celestial world could communicate with the power of the cultivation world. After fusing with the power of the great Qin celestial world, the Qin clan could truly control the great Qin celestial world. Su Fang activated the power of the world seed and slowly extended it towards the place where the great Qin celestial world's origin was gathered. Boom! Soon, Su Fang's world seed's power came into contact with the underground origin's world seal. The great Qin celestial world's world origin contained the faith and will of the experts of the Qin clan. Moreover, the world origin's world seal was extremely repulsive to Su Fang's world seed's power. Which expert dares to covet the great Qin celestial world's world origin? Leave. A majestic and domineering voice suddenly sounded in Su Fang's mind. Su Fang's world seed hadn't been completely born yet. The great Qin celestial world's world origin was extremely majestic. It instantly shattered his world origin's power. It's actually so repulsive to my world origin. The world origin of a celestial world is indeed not so easy to obtain. However, the experts of the Qin clan only fused with a portion of the world origin and borrowed the power of the world origin to cultivate. However, my ethereal true scripture can completely communicate with the world origin and control it. Su Fang smiled coldly and used the ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws to slowly communicate with the great Qin celestial world's world origin. 3 days later. Rumble! Rumble! Not only the royal city, but the entire great Qin celestial world's territory was shaking. The great Qin celestial world's world origin was awakened from its dormant state by Su Fang's ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws. It was currently attacking the world seal. Countless cultivators sensed the changes in the world origin around them. All of them were shocked and pale. They quickly flew into the sky to check the situation. The commotion lasted for half a month. The cultivators of the great Qin celestial world didn't know what was going on. They were in a constant state of panic, as if doomsday had arrived. The experts of the Qin clan sensed an ethereal power that was controlling the world origin. They all rushed to the heaven and earth divine altar to check it out. However, they were blocked by the immortal emperor who said that he was cultivating. Although the experts of the Qin clan were confused, they didn't dare to go against the supreme expert of the Qin clan. Streaks of starlight broke through the world seal and shot out from the ground of the royal city. As if they were being summoned, they gathered towards the heaven and earth divine altar. The starlight quickly condensed into resplendent stars before converging into a deep galaxy. It was a magnificent scene of the great Qin celestial world's world origin's essence gathering. The ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws is indeed wondrous. Looking at the magnificent scene, Su Fang was once again shocked by the ethereal true scripture. He was even more impressed by the ethereal spiritual master who created the ethereal true scripture of the ethereal true scripture. Just as he was about to activate the world seed to devour the great Qin celestial world's world origin, a majestic figure quickly appeared from the resplendent galaxy formed by the world origin. Has the great Qin empire been destroyed? You actually allowed an outsider to shake the world origin? The majestic figure spoke in a domineering voice. This figure wasn't a real existence. It was a consciousness left behind by the ancestor of the Qin clan. It had fused with the world origin and absorbed the faith of the experts of the Qin clan and the great Qin celestial world who had cultivated the world origin for generations. It was a manifestation of the will of the Qin clan. There's actually the fate aura of the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. The great Qin celestial world was indeed created by the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. Su Fang wasn't too surprised when he sensed the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's Tao runes of fate from the figure. Lightning flashed in the eyes of the figure as it scanned Su Fang. Who are you? You actually have the supreme ability to awaken the great Qin celestial world's world origin and even let the world origin break through the seal? No matter who you are, you dared to ignore my warning and forcefully awaken the great Qin celestial world's world origin. That's a capital offense. Once I capture you alive, your supreme ability will naturally belong to my descendant. Su Fang sneered disdainfully. I've already turned into a resurrected corpse. How can you still be so arrogant? I've already sensed that I've already fallen. Only a remnant of my will is left. But so what? My mission is to protect the great Qin celestial world. I won't allow anyone to spy on it. Although I'm only a consciousness, all the cultivators who cultivate the power of the world in the great Qin celestial world all offer their faith to me. Even an immortal sovereign can't easily seize the great Qin celestial world's world origin. How dare an ant-like world immortal like you try to take it? The figure let out a thunderous roar. His aura was monstrous, and his divine aura enveloped the entire great Qin celestial world. He instantly transformed into the absolute ruler of the great Qin celestial world. Why don't you surrender? An astonishing divine aura shackled Su Fang. For a moment, Su Fang had the illusion that he was fighting against the entire great Qin celestial world. At the same time, from the galaxy formed by the origin of the world, an aura gushed out like a tide. Through the primordial spirit, one could see that it was an innumerable number of wills and figures, densely gathered together like an ocean, which made one's scalp tingle. The figures of will were like a tsunami, instantly drowning Su Fang. They formed a majestic pressure that wanted to suppress Su Fang. I've awakened the great Qin celestial world's world origin. Don't think that it won't shackle me and will obey my will. Mere willpower and faith can't suppress me. As for your consciousness, you should have disappeared from this world long ago. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me, Su Fang? Su Fang shouted coldly. The power of the world seed burst out. Combined with the ethereal divine aura of the Tao of all arts, it instantly shattered the shackles of the world origin. Then, he used his divine aura to control the world origin and forcibly seize control of it from the sky slaughter lightning emperor's consciousness. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens can't take it away. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens can't live without me. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I'm destroyed, everything will be destroyed. As Su Fang used his nascent divinity to chant the mysteries of the Tao of fate, an ethereal aura of fate swept out. Chi, chi, chi. When the figures of will touched this aura of fate, they instantly burned and turned into ashes. Life-shrinking art of fate, controlling fate and crushing all faith and will power. At the same time, Jiang Yi's second nascent divinity shot out from his eyes and turned into a black Xian Guang. It swept up a wave of nascent divinity and engulfed the sky slaughter lightning emperor's consciousness in the river of stars formed by the great Qin celestial world's world origin. The sky slaughter lightning emperor cried out in despair, "Ah! You dare to kill me? I'm from the myriad waves, immortal sea." Download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1348. 10,000 Waves, Immortal Sea? Su Fang immediately stopped the second primordial spirit B. The 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea was a large world in an immortal domain that was relatively close to this immortal domain. Of course, it was only relatively close. It would take immortal emperors thousands of years to travel between the two immortal domains, and they would have to pass through many dangerous places along the way. Su Fang had an impression of the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea because of Lang Liyun, who used to pester Fairy Xuanxin. Immortal Emperor Tian Sha continued, "I'm a clone of the Lord of Thunder Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. I came to this immortal domain millions of years ago to build the Great Qin Immortal World." A clone of the Lord of Thunder Night Island? Su Fang sent a thought to Dugumujian in the True Dragon Realm. Have you heard of the Thunder Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea? He was just asking casually, but he didn't expect Dugumujian to know. The Lord of Thunder Night Island? I've heard of this person. He's an immortal venerable expert. When he was in the Immortal Emperor realm, he went to the Central Immortal Domain and made a name for himself. It's said that this person is very powerful, and he's a famous expert in the countless immortal domains in the Immortal Domain. You'd better not offend him. You can't afford to offend such an expert. Su Fang furrowed his brows. The heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor's consciousness couldn't help but feel proud. If you dare to kill me, I'll leave my true will divine ability in your body. No matter where you run to, I'll kill you. Let me go and send the Great Qin Immortal World's world origin back to the World Seal, and I'll let you go this time. Su Fang sneered with disdain, and viciousness seeped out of his eyes. A remnant consciousness dares to be so arrogant? So what if you're an immortal venerable expert? The body that my second primordial spirit resides in is the fusion of an immortal venerable and a demon venerable. I've erased both their consciousnesses. Why wouldn't I dare to erase the consciousness of your immortal venerable clone? Second primordial spirit, kill him! Kill! The second primordial spirit let out a cold shout that was filled with murderous intent. He activated the primordial spirit's stormy waves and instantly crushed and devoured the will of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor's figure. As the heavenly slaughter Lightning Emperor's will was destroyed, the wills and figures of the Great Qin Immortal Realm that were being incinerated by the heavenly fate shrinking art flew back into the galaxy formed by the world's origin and disappeared without a trace. At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed and condensed into an illusory figure above. It looked down at Su Fang like a high and mighty god and said in a cold voice, "I thought that this clone of mine had fallen long ago, and even I had forgotten about it. I didn't expect that there would be a trace of soul consciousness remaining until now, but it was killed by you. No matter who you are, you better not let me sense your existence." The voice gradually faded away. Of the two lightning bolts, one flashed and fused with the second primordial spirit, while the other drilled into Su Fang's body and disappeared. "It's Mo Lei's true will again." Su Fang raised his eyebrows. For the time being, he ignored Morley's true will. He didn't even care about the master of Thunder Night Island. Whoosh, coming to the galaxy formed by the world's origin, he reached out and grabbed a storage ring floating in the starlight. His consciousness entered it. It was like a world of lightning and light, with all kinds of resources and treasures floating in the space. Elixirs, secret manuals, magic treasures, various resources, spiritual objects, and spirit veins. Just in terms of quantity, it was twice as much as the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor's Tao field. However, there was not a single peerless Tao artifact like the Yellow Springs Reincarnation Sword. Although the Great Qin Immortal Realm was also an immortal realm, it was still far from the immortal realm established by the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor. It was impossible to have a peerless Tao artifact like the Yellow Springs Reincarnation Sword, let alone a supreme Tao artifact like the Xianming Thunder Archive that was close to a divine artifact. With so many resources, I can definitely support a powerful force. At least I won't have to worry about resources for the next 1,000 years. Su Fang was very excited. Fortunately, he came to the Great Qin Immortal Realm on his way back to the immortal Ao Great World. Otherwise, with so many resources and treasures, who knew which one would benefit? Whoosh, he controlled his breathing and suppressed the excitement in his heart. He activated the World Seed to absorb the pure power of the World Origin. In an instant, the World Seed was like a thirsty person who had encountered a sweet spring, wantonly devouring the Great Qin Immortal Realm's World Origin. Su Fang's eyes flickered with the luster of the stars. His eyes flickered with radiance and he was brimming with vigor. The entire heaven and earth Tao Palace was filled with the divine might of the World Origin. The World Seed, which was very difficult to cultivate, went through a transformation after devouring the Great Qin Immortal Realm's World Origin. The cocoon of light that contained the World Seed became more and more real little by little, and it spun continuously like a lotus. Once the World Seed fell out of the lotus, it meant that Su Fang's cultivation in his own world had reached a new height. When the World Seed sprouted and grew, it meant that Su Fang's cultivation in his own world had succeeded, and he had reached the peak of cultivation and grasped true immortality. This was the path of cultivation that Su Fang wanted to walk. After absorbing a small portion of the Great Qin Immortal Realm's World Origin, Su Fang stopped. Instead, he used his own World Origin to fuse with the World Origin. If he absorbed all of the World Origin, the vitality of the entire Great Qin Immortal Realm would be cut off, and it would gradually turn into a wasteland. At that time, who knew how many cultivators would die? Although Su Fang was ruthless, he would only target his enemies. He would definitely not do something that would cause him to suffer the wrath of the heavens. Moreover, if he absorbed too much of the World Origin, it would cause the World Seed to reject the power of other worlds, which would greatly affect his future cultivation. After fusing with the remaining World Origin, Su Fang used the power of the Yin-Yang world to form a Dharma seal. The dazzling river of stars immediately turned into starlight and drilled into the ground, and it was sealed again. Outside the heaven and earth divine altar, the experts of the Qin clan sensed that the natural power of the heaven and earth that they could easily communicate with and control had suddenly become difficult. They were only slightly stronger than other cultivators, and it was as if they were in a great world outside the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The Great Qin Immortal Realm no longer belongs to the Qin clan. Some of the experts of the Qin clan vaguely understood and fell into despair. Let's see what kind of changes have been brought to me after fusing with the world origin of the great Qin immortal realm. There were obvious changes to the world seed, but it would still take a long time for it to be born and leave the lotus. Cultivating one's own world origin was the cultivation of the great Tao. How could it be achieved overnight? Among the 5 star-like halos around the world seed, an incomparably mysterious halo appeared. It was the halo formed after fusing with the great Qin immortal realm. The 6 halos were like 6 galaxies, and the world seed was like the stars in the galaxies, floating in the heaven and earth Tao palace, emitting a vast and profound qi. The world seed's speed of operation had also increased. His ability to cultivate and communicate with the world origin had also improved significantly. He gradually released the sensing ability of the Great Perfection Realm and the World Origin Divine Might, covering an area of 1,000 li in an instant. This was the range of the domain Divine Might that only a peak Immortal Emperor could possess. If he used the ethereal True Scripture, this domain Divine Might would be even larger. Moreover, within this domain Divine Might, all kinds of natural power had become very close to him, allowing him to control them freely. No matter if it was casting divine abilities or activating magical treasures, the power would be multiplied. He could also easily activate the World Origin Divine Might shackles. In any place in the Great Qin Immortal Realm, Su Fang could borrow the World Origin Divine Might to kill an ordinary Immortal Emperor with ease. Although I can't be considered a true World Lord now, I can still control the World Origin Divine Might of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. When my cultivation realm reaches the Immortal Emperor Realm, I will definitely become the true ruler of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The feeling of controlling a territory made Su Fang feel like he was the overlord of a small world. He couldn't help but feel a supreme domineering and lofty sentiments. I can keep the Great Qin Immortal Realm as a spy. I can't expose it for the time being. My target is the Immortal Ao Great World. My main enemies are Immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Tranquility Emperor, as well as the Devil Race. It's time to return to the Immortal Ao Great World. I can't let the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm and Tranquility Emperor Mansion continue to grow. Otherwise, it will become difficult to deal with them. After summoning the Immortal Emperors of the Great Qin Immortal Realm, giving him a portion of the resources and making some arrangements, Su Fang flew out of King City. When he came into contact with the barrier above the Great Qin Immortal Realm, it automatically opened a passage for Su Fang. Su Fang used the World Origin Divine Might to travel through the void. It only took him 4 to 6 hours to travel the distance that would have taken him several years to travel. He arrived at the edge of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. This was the benefit of being able to control the World Origin Divine Might after fusing with the Great Qin Immortal Realm's World Origin. Not long after Su Fang left the Great Qin Immortal Realm, news quickly spread to the other immortal realms. A mysterious young master from the Central Immortal Realm came to this immortal realm with several immortal emperors to gain experience. The experts of the Qin clan provoked this mysterious young master. As a result, this mysterious young master forced his way into the Great Qin Imperial Palace. The Qin clan had to pay a huge sum of compensation to avert the disaster. This young master's identity was very mysterious. He controlled an extremely powerful force. No one knew his name. Because he wore a golden mask, he was known as the golden-faced young master. The speed of the news spread far exceeded the speed of Su Fang's travel from one immortal realm to another. Before Su Fang returned to the Immortal Ao Great World, the news spread quickly through various channels in this immortal realm. Some major forces issued strict decrees that anyone who met the golden-faced young master must treat him as an elder. If they offended him, the entire force would be implicated and they would be severely punished. Even some overlord forces, including the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion and the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm, sent out envoys or spread news through the Chamber of Commerce, inviting the golden-faced young master to visit them as a guest. For a time, the so-called golden-faced young master became an influential figure in this immortal realm, overshadowing Huang Lingyao. Some busybodies even suggested that the heavenly Tao White Sun sect should propose marriage between Huang Lingyao and the golden-faced young master. When the heavenly Tao immortal realm heard this, not only did they not object, but they also showed an attitude that as long as the golden-faced young master was willing, marriage was not impossible. Even Huang Lingyao herself did not raise any objections. However, there was a rumor that young Master Long went to the heavenly Tao White Sun sect to make a scene, but was called back by immortal Emperor Tianong and severely reprimanded. Golden-faced young master? Marriage? With Huang Lingyao? Su Fang, who set foot on the territory of the immortal Ao Great World, learned this news from the information collected by his subordinate. He was shocked and stunned and could not speak for a long time. The 2 chapters in the evening may be a little late. Readers who can't wait can read them together tomorrow. _our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1349. In Su Fang's Blood Jade, Law laughed and said, "Marriage with Huang Lingyao? That's a good idea. Su Fang, why don't you consider it?" Su Fang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He replied, "Law, you're being naughty again. Marriage with Huang Lingyao? Only you can think of that." Law continued to tease, "Huang Lingyao is an old acquaintance of yours. Not only does she have a Tao body, but she also fused with one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the Sky Lightning Sword. She's also a great beauty. Dual cultivating with her. TSK, that's a wonderful thing. Although Huang Lingyao is a proud daughter of heaven, she has a heart as vicious as a snake and scorpion. She could even devour her own sister. If I dual cultivate with her, I have to be careful at all times. I'll be devoured by her skin and bones." Su Fang couldn't help but shudder when he thought of Huang Lingyao's methods. Su Fang treated the so-called marriage as a joke and quickly threw it to the back of his mind. Counting with his fingers, it took nearly 100 years to travel from the Great Qin immortal world to the immortal Ao Great World. The main reason was that when they entered the Sky Lightning Realm, they were chased by the Great Qin immortal emperor. When they passed through the lightning and firestorms, the Green Feather Emperor was seriously injured and had not fully recovered. Without his speed and control of space, his speed was naturally much slower. Su Fang was not in a hurry. Along the way, he slowly digested the various resources he obtained from the Sky Lightning Realm and the Great Qin immortal world. He continued to go deeper into the immortal Ao Great World. Along the way, he occasionally encountered material continents with bustling immortal cities. For the first time, Su Fang had the leisure to experience the cultivation civilization of the great immortal world. A huge island floated in the void. The island was not big, but the natural spiritual energy was abundant, forming immortal fog around the island. It was both real and illusory. Through the immortal fog, one could see the mountains, forests, and palaces on the island. It was rare to see such an immortal land in the void filled with star fog and star sand. Carefree Immortal Island? After finding the name of this immortal island from the map, Su Fang's memory immediately flashed with the name of an acquaintance, N_1. 7 stars. After ascending to the immortal world, Su Fang had inquired about 7 Star Child's whereabouts many times through the Chamber of Commerce. He knew that 7 Star Child was staying at Carefree Immortal Island. Later, when he found Huang Lingyao and learned that the purple Qi Dharma spirit had fallen into the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong, he stopped paying attention to the 7 Star Child. This person was very powerful in the lower realm and hunted down Su Fang many times. However, at this moment in Su Fang's eyes, 7 Star Child was like an ant that could be easily erased. Unknowingly, they had already entered the sphere of influence of the heavenly law immortal realm. Carefree Immortal Island was one of the cultivation grounds of the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect. Seven-Star Child was a disciple of an elder and became a genius disciple of the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect. I'll settle my grudge with the Seven-Star Child while I'm at it. Besides, this person also cultivates the Black Lotus True Body. If I devour him, my Black Lotus True Body will definitely transform again. After thinking for a moment, Su Fong decisively flew towards the Carefree Immortal Island. He leaped through the air and arrived above the Carefree Immortal Island. He looked down indifferently and said in a majestic voice, "Someone come and help me." Swoosh, swoosh. In less than 3 breaths' time, more than a dozen Heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivators flew over from below. "Who are you? What are you doing at the Carefree Immortal Island?" "Ah, Golden Mask you are." The Heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator in the lead was very arrogant at first. However, when he saw the golden mask on Su Fong's face, he suddenly thought of something. His tone and expression suddenly became very respectful and reverent. "This young master's name is not something you can know," said Su Fong indifferently. "You can call me Gold-Face Young Master. I came here for a tour and saw that the scenery here is good. I want to go in and walk around. How about it? Going to the Carefree Immortal Island for a tour?" If it was someone else who said this, no matter which force they came from, the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator would directly slap them. However, when the Golden Mask Young Master said this, the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator in the lead felt flattered and quickly sent a rune talisman to the island. A moment later, a loud and melodious bell rang on the island, and there was also a burst of pleasant immortal music. The barrier in the sky opened, and tens of thousands of Heavenly Tao White Sun sect disciples came to the sky above the Carefree Immortal Island under the lead of an Immortal Emperor expert. Carefree Immortal Island is honored to have the Golden Mask Young Master come. Welcome, please. The Immortal Emperor expert was an old man with a malicious expression. At this time, he was full of smiles and was not polite at all. The tens of thousands of Heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivators behind him cupped their fists and bowed together. "Welcome, Golden Mask Young Master." Their voices resounded through the sky, and their voices were mighty. It was a grand scene. Su Fong's eyes exuded a proud look. In fact, he was secretly using the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to sense the Seven-Star Child's aura among the many cultivators. Sure enough, behind one of the White Sun sect elders stood a young man in his early 20s. He had a jade-like complexion, large black eyes, a high nose bridge, and long, supple hair like a woman's. He appeared to be extremely outstanding equals, N_1. Especially on the back of his right hand, there were 7 black stars arranged in a circle, which seemed to contain some kind of power. "Seven-Star Child, I finally found you again." Su Fong sneered in his heart and flew proudly toward the Carefree Immortal Island. With Su Fong's current overall strength, it was easy for him to destroy the entire Carefree Immortal Island. However, considering that the identity of the Golden Mask Young Master was still very useful, he did not want to expose it for the time being. Besides, it was just a Carefree Immortal Island. It was meaningless to destroy it. He would first enter the Carefree Immortal Island and then find a suitable opportunity to kill the Seven-Star Child without leaving a trace. He arrived at the island. The sinister-looking old man was about to set up a banquet to entertain Su Fong, but Su Fong refused and said indifferently, "There's no need for that. Just arrange for a few cultivators to accompany me around the island. This person is very outstanding. Let's choose him." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone looked at the Seven-Star Child with envy and jealousy. The Seven-Star Child was also surprised and delighted. What a heaven-sent opportunity to get close to the Golden Mask Young Master. The Golden Mask Young Master had several immortal emperors under his command. If this peerless young master casually rewarded him with something, his future cultivation path would be much smoother. If he was valued by the Golden Mask young master, he would have a chance to reach the sky in one step. Accompanied by the seven-star child, Su Fong flew toward the depths of the carefree immortal island. He scanned with his perfected ability and sensed that there was no one nearby. Su Fong was ready to let his second primordial spirit possess him directly. Suddenly the seven-star child knelt in the void to Su Fong and said with great sincerity, "I'm the seven-star child. I'm willing to be your subordinate and serve you with all my strength. Please accept me." Su Fong was stunned. He did not expect that the seven-star child, who was like a supreme ruler in the lower realm, would be so humble in front of a true expert. It was no wonder that he could climb so quickly in the White Sun sect of the Heavenly Tao. Su Fong sighed in his heart. In the face of absolute strength and powerful forces, the so-called arrogance of immortals is not worth mentioning. After a moment of silence, he said in a majestic voice, "What qualifications do you have to be my subordinate?" The seven-star child hurriedly said, "Although I'm a lowly person in your eyes, I'm very familiar with the immortal Ao great world. I can serve you at your beck and call. In addition, I can also connect you with Huang Lingyao, the proud daughter of heaven in this immortal domain." Su Fong said calmly, "You know Huang Lingyao. I brought Huang Lingyao from a small world to the immortal realm. Not only does she have a peerless appearance, but she also has a peerless Tao body. She has also been recognized by one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the Yunshao Thunder Sword. She can be said to be a peerless fairy in this immortal domain. Even the former number 1 fairy of the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate, Fairy Xuanxin, is not as good as her." Su Fong's eyes exuded a trace of coldness. Noticing that Su Fong's expression was not right, the seven-star child suddenly understood and hurriedly said, "With your identity and peerless sharpness, Huang Lingyao is certainly not worth mentioning in front of you. However, this girl is barely qualified to be your concubine. You won't be lonely in this immortal domain. Huang Lingyao. If you can bring Huang Lingyao to carefree Immortal Island, I promise you that I'll give you an unimaginable future," Su Fong said indifferently and then left in embarrassment, leaving the ecstatic seven-star child behind. When they heard that the golden-faced young master was going to stay in carefree Immortal Island for a while to wait for Huang Lingyao, everyone in carefree Immortal Island was immediately excited. After settling Su Fong down, the sinister old man specially vacated his own residence and cultivation palace for Su Fong to live in. He also carefully selected a group of stunning female cultivators to serve him. In the end, they were all driven away by Su Fong. The sinister old man personally took the seven-star child and went straight to the Heavenly Tao Immortal World's King City. For such a big matter, even the White Sun sect's higher-ups could not make the decision. They had to report it to Immortal Emperor Tian Ong in person. Of course, carefree Immortal Island also had the intention of asking Immortal Emperor Tian Ong for credit. Think about it, if they could ask the golden-faced young master to take action, with the terrifying strength of several immortal emperors and the strength of the Heavenly Tao Immortal World, it would be easy for them to sweep across this immortal domain. How could they give such a great credit to the higher-ups of the White Sun sect? Do you really want to take Huang Lingyao as your concubine? Be careful of Fairy Xuanxin. Law once again laughed wantonly in the blood jade. Law, I'm not as despicable as you think. My idea is very simple. Since I want to get rid of the seven-star child, I might as well lure Huang Lingyao here and kill her as well. Law suddenly said, "In fact, you don't have to rush to kill Huang Lingyao. Your target is not her, but the third part of the purple Chi Dharma spirit in Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's body. This is the most important thing. This is not a bad opportunity. You can use the identity of the golden-faced young master to sneak into Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's side. With your current overall strength, killing him is not difficult." After a moment of silence, Su Fong's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Yes, my target is the purple Chi Dharma spirit. 7-star child can kill it easily, but killing Huang Lingyao will cause a big commotion. Why don't we follow your idea and kill immortal Emperor Tian first and take the purple Chi Dharma spirit? Su Fang made up his mind to live in carefree Immortal Island and wait for Huang Lingyao's arrival. Whoosh! It turned out that the immortal demon monster had swallowed a large amount of precious resources and spiritual items obtained from the great Qin immortal world and fused with a frost soul blood fetus. Its physical body had finally recovered by 10% and caused a big commotion in the true dragon world. The immortal demon monster's physical body had fused with the physical bodies of immortal Venerate Song Huan and demon Venerate Ancient Ming. 10% of a peerless immortal Venerate's strength was no small matter. At this time, the immortal demon monster's strength was almost equal, but some special factors had to be excluded. The immortal demon monster has recovered 10% of its strength before the battle with immortal Emperor Tianong. This is great. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. It would take at least 10 years to travel from carefree Immortal Island to the Heavenly Dao Immortal World's King City and back. Su Fang naturally would not waste the time. On the way to the Immortal Ao Great World, Su Fang had already devoured the Great Qin Immortal Emperor's right arm and the Star Palace's leader's physical essence and cultivation. Not only did the yellow spring blood sea transform again, but his cultivation realm also quickly rose to the peak of the 4th Dao realm. He could use this time to devour the frost soul blood fetus and break through to the 5th Dao realm. He let out old monster Zhu Tian and let him stay in the palace while Su Fang entered the true dragon world. Chapter 4, The Promise. Chapter 5, Stay up late and rush it out tomorrow morning, =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1350. Su Fang formed a seal with his hands, and his body collapsed instantly, turning into a bloody whirlpool bee. After devouring the body of the Star Palace leader and the right arm of the Great Qin Celestial Emperor, the Acheron Blood Sea transformed, and its surface area reached more than 7,000 feet. Moreover, the Acheron Blood Sea's devouring ability became even more shocking. Even if the dark green demonic emperor was at his peak and turned into 1,000 feet of bloody water, Su Fang was confident that he could devour him. In the state of bloody water, his ability to activate various superpowers and Dao artifacts was also greatly improved. Moreover, the Acheron reincarnation technique was also improved, and his ability to control the Acheron reincarnation sword was further improved. At this moment, he could activate 60% to 70% of the sword's power. There was another major breakthrough in cultivating the Acheron Blood Sea, and that was creating the immortal blood spirit. Of course, Su Fang did not dare to create the immortal blood spirit. Instead, he cultivated the method of creating the immortal blood spirit to study the corpse refining puppet. After countless experiments, he finally succeeded a few times, and the day of mass production of corpse refining puppets was not far away. Sizzle! A piece of ice soul blood fetus fell into the bloody whirlpool. Like an ice cube falling into boiling water, it quickly turned into a part of the bloody water and was devoured and integrated. The evil intent contained in the ice soul blood fetus was directly refined by Su Fang's 9-sun celestial fire. The bloody whirlpool, which was more than 7,000 feet long, burned with a monstrous flame of life. It was extremely spectacular as it spiraled and whistled. A bloody man, Su Fang, who was more than 100 feet tall, was formed in the bloody whirlpool. He was immersed in cultivation. About 3 years passed. However, it was not Su Fang who had another breakthrough, but there was a commotion from the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron. Su Fang placed the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron in the treasure refining palace for Qiu Tianshi to study. Even if Su Fang did not integrate the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron, Qiu Tianshi could not activate such a peerless treasure cauldron. He could only study the formation and handprints in the Tao artifact to improve his treasure refining ability. The commotion from the heavenly dipper creation cauldron was immediately sensed by Su Fang. The bloody man Su Fang suddenly opened his eyes, and the light of surprise bloomed from his eyes. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd has been promoted to a top-grade Taoist instrument. Haha, good news, really good news. It turned out that Su Fang had been placing the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda, the Starry Daylight Sword, and the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd in the Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron. With the help of the cauldron's divine power and various spiritual items, the three treasures' quality could be improved. Even the Void Dust Cauldron was placed in the Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron to improve its quality. Who would have thought that the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd would advance to a top-grade Tao artifact so quickly? How long had it been since the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd had been promoted to a high-grade Tao artifact? Not even 500 years. It had to be known that refining a top-grade Tao artifact would take at least a few thousand years. It would take tens of thousands of years for a top-grade Tao artifact to be born. The Fire Cloud Spiritual Gourd had advanced from a high-grade Tao artifact to a top-grade Tao artifact in less than 500 years. This was all thanks to the Heavenly Dipper Good Fortune Cauldron and Su Fang's Fire Attribute Divine Might. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to advance without several thousand years. What's more, once the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd advanced to a top-grade Tao artifact, it would definitely not be an ordinary top-grade Tao artifact. Whoosh! A young immortal appeared above the blood whirlpool with the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. Good treasure, really good treasure. It has finally advanced. Su Fang had deep feelings for the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda, the Starry Daylight Sword, and the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. Even after obtaining a peerless Tao artifact like the profound Underworld Lightning Archive, he was reluctant to give it up and tried to find ways to improve its quality. The Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd emitted a majestic fire attribute aura and a boiling sea of fire inside. Moreover, it was not an ordinary flame, but Su Fang's 9 yang immortal flames. The spiritual gourd can finally be put to good use. Su Fang was very excited. The Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd was formed from a spiritual item. After fusing with the 9 yang immortal flames, it would become a peerless magic treasure with terrifying power. When activated with the domineering 9 yang immortal flames, its power would be even more terrifying than those peak supreme-grade fire attribute magic treasures. This way, Su Fang would not need to expend his own yang energy to activate the 9 yang immortal flames. He only needed to fuse some of the 9 yang immortal flames into the spiritual gourd. Moreover, the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd could also be used to refine weapons. With Su Fang's current cultivation realm and ability to refine weapons, it was just right for him. The Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron could not be activated for a long time. He continued to place the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd in the Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron to improve its quality. He then paid attention to the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda and the Starry Daylight Sword. These two treasures would advance to supreme-grade magic treasures within 100 years. Good things came one after another. First, it was the incomparably huge gorilla demon. After devouring the corpses of thousands of gorilla demons in the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, it finally recovered a lot of the life force it had exhausted in the demon sealing tower. Now, it had at least 40% of its peak strength. Later, Su Fang communicated with the gorilla demon's consciousness and found out that this colossal gorilla demon was the Mount of Demon Venerable Ancient Netherworld. At its peak, it had reached the level of a peak immortal emperor. Its strength was incomparably shocking. Now that it had recovered 40% of its strength, even old monster Zhu Tian would find it difficult to deal with it. Dugu Mujian and perfected Peng Hua had been in the true dragon realm for nearly 100 years. Not only had they fully recovered their elixirs and various resources, but their strength had also improved. Especially Dugu Mujian, who was worthy of being a peerless sword cultivator. In just 100 years, not only had he gained the recognition of the twin swords of annihilation, but he could also activate 60 to 70% of the twin swords of annihilation's power. Su Fang could not help but be amazed. Yan Xinxin had only activated less than half of the twin swords of annihilation's power back then. However, these two immortal emperor experts, Dugu Mujian was arrogant and pedantic, while perfected Peng Hua was incomparably noble and aloof. It was difficult to get close to them. It was not easy to completely take them under one's command. However, Su Fang had an agreement with them first. When they were really needed, they had no choice but to take action. Then there was Gui Gui. After devouring a young devil, Gui Gui finally woke up after many years of slumber. At this moment, his appearance had changed greatly. He was no longer in his monster form. Instead, he looked somewhat like a devil. Gui Gui's strength naturally underwent another transformation. He broke through the peak Immortal Emperor realm and reached the level of an ordinary Immortal Emperor. If he unleashed his poison and turned into the yellow spring blood sea, even the incomparably huge gorilla devil would be afraid of him. About 5 years later, *Chi** layers of tribulation Chi suddenly spurted out from Su Fang's body. It turned out that after devouring and fusing with the ice soul blood fetus, he had finally broken through to the peak of the fourth Tao realm. He quickly condensed his body and flew out of the true dragon realm, arriving at the palace of the carefree immortal island. The natural spiritual Qi here was incomparably abundant. It would be a sin if he did not use it. *Chi** tribulation fire surged out, causing Su Fang to turn into a burning man. The impurities in the fetal membrane that seeped out of his body were immediately burned to ashes. A few days later, the tribulation fire gradually extinguished. The Qi on Su Fang's body was already at the fifth Tao realm of the world immortal realm. Without creating a formation, Su Fang directly activated the ethereal true scripture and released the divine might of his domain. It covered an area of thousands of miles around the carefree immortal island, absorbing the natural spiritual Qi in this area and rushing towards Su Fang like a tsunami. Such ability to devour spiritual Qi was beyond the reach of a peak immortal emperor. On the carefree immortal island, tens of thousands of cultivators of the heavenly Tao White Sun sect were all shocked. They looked at the palace of Su Fang with reverence. At this moment, more than 10 cultivators broke through the void and appeared on the carefree immortal island. The leader was an old man with a youthful face. His Qi was void. If one carefully sensed it, they would be able to sense that there was a golden dragon shadow circling around him. This person was an immortal emperor expert of the heavenly Tao immortal world's long family. His cultivation realm was one level lower than immortal emperor Tianong, but his strength was still incomparably shocking. Behind the old man were peerless experts of the heavenly Tao White Sun sect and the Long family. Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao were also among them. Huang Lingyao's temperament became colder and colder, with a cold beauty. Long Xiaojun, on the other hand, didn't change much. At this moment, he had lost his usual domineering and calmness. His handsome face was filled with anger. 7-star child followed behind like a follower. He didn't even have the chance to talk to Huang Lingyao. The difference in their statuses was so great that it was like the difference between heaven and earth. The commotion on the carefree immortal island attracted everyone's attention. Who is this person? How can he stir up the natural spiritual Qi in an area of thousands of miles? Could he be an immortal emperor? Impossible. The strongest expert on the carefree immortal island is only a peak immortal emperor. He's with us right now. The eyes of the sinister old man of the carefree immortal island were filled with disbelief. It's the golden face young master. Immortal emperor, he of the Long family asked in a deep voice, is the golden face young master also an immortal emperor expert? The sinister old man shook his head and answered, This person's qi is only at the 4th Tao realm. He should be breaking through to the 5th Tao realm and absorbing the natural spiritual qi of heaven and earth to cause this commotion. How can a 5th Tao realm immortal have such amazing ability? This person is simply heaven-defying. The experts of the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect and the Long family were all shocked. 7-star child's eyes were filled with vigor. I've really climbed up the tree this time. My future is just around the corner. Huang Lingyao, on the other hand, is nothing but the golden-face young master's everything. The anger on Long Xiaojuan's face disappeared. His eyes were filled with doubt and jealousy. However, when he saw the admiration in Huang Lingyao's eyes, his anger burned again. He revealed a cold, murderous intent. Junior sister Huang is my woman. Who in the great heavenly Tao immortal world doesn't know that? The golden-faced young master dares to steal my woman? Let's see if you have what it takes. Whoosh! Many experts landed on carefree Immortal Island. Immortal Emperor, he said politely, the Long family of the heavenly Tao immortal world is here to visit young master. There was a moment of silence. Su Fang's cold and arrogant voice sounded. Wait first. The others didn't feel anything, but Long Xiaojun was furious again. He was about to say something when he was stopped by Immortal Emperor He's sharp eyes. Unexpectedly, they had to wait for half a year. Su Fang used the abundant natural spiritual qi of carefree Immortal Island to stabilize himself at the 5th Tao realm. Then, he walked out of the palace and met the experts of the Long family and the heavenly Tao White Sun sect. You're Huang Lingyao? The divine light in his eyes scanned the crowd and finally fell on Huang Lingyao. He showed a hint of interest. At this moment, Su Fang's body was covered by the life-shrinking technique. Not to mention Huang Lingyao, even Immortal Emperor Tianong and the Tranquility Emperor couldn't sense anything related to Su Fang. Before Huang Lingyao could speak, Long Xiaojun said domineeringly, "You're the golden-faced young master?" Su Fang focused on Huang Lingyao and treated Long Xiaojun as heir. He was so arrogant and arrogant. Long Xiaojun was furious. He said, "Golden-faced young master, rumor has it that you have several peerless immortal emperors as your subordinates and that you're a peerless genius. Is that true?" Su Fang looked at Long Xiaojun like a supreme ruler looking at an ant. He said in a majestic voice, "Who are you? What right do you have to talk to me?" Long Xiaojun was so angry that his handsome face turned red. He had to suppress his anger and forced a smile. "I'm Long Xiaojun, the son of Immortal Emperor Tianong, one of the top 10 young masters. I admire the golden-faced young master and want to ask for some advice. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1351. 10 Young Masters? The so-called 10 young masters of this border region are just a joke in my eyes. You want to challenge me?" Su Fang said coldly, full of disdain and arrogance. Long Xiaojun could no longer hold back his anger. "Gold-faced young master, you're just relying on the experts behind you. What right do you have to look down on the 10 young masters and humiliate me like this?" Immortal Emperor, he from the Long clan shouted coldly, "Long Xiaojun, don't be rude in front of gold-faced young master." Su Fang waved his hand and said lightly, "It's fine. Since this young master from the Long clan is not convinced, then I'll teach him a thing or two. I'll let him know that the so-called 10 young masters are just frogs at the bottom of a well." Whoosh! Su Fang directly flew above carefree Immortal Island, and Long Xiaojun followed closely behind. "Be careful. My Long clan's ultimate ability is not to be underestimated. Gold-faced young master, don't be unable to take even one move from the yellow tyrant Dragon Claw." Long Xiaojun formed a seal with a golden Xian Guang, which turned into a huge dragon claw with an area of 10 feet. It carried a shocking aura that could crush all matter, and an unparalleled aura burst out. The Long clan's ultimate ability is indeed not bad. Su Fong smiled faintly and formed a seal to activate the fire god's aura. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with raging flames and turned into a flame domain. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. How domineering was the Nine Suns' immortal fire! The golden dragon claw collided with the flame domain and was incinerated. The dragon claw collapsed upon contact and turned into nothingness. The so-called ultimate ability of the Long clan couldn't even break through Su Fong's domain. Immortal Emperor He's eyes flashed with disbelief. Everyone else was also shocked. Boom boom boom. Long Xiaojun continued to activate his Dragon Qi and Monarch Qi to unleash his abilities. His attacks were like tidal waves that shook the surroundings. Su Fong's fire god's domain was constantly being worn down, but it didn't shatter. He originally wanted to teach Gold-Face young master a lesson, but he couldn't take him down after a long time. Moreover, his opponent clearly wasn't using his full strength. Long Xiaojun became impatient. Separating his hands, he struck out an earth-shattering handprint, condensing into a gigantic, ferocious, golden-yellow dragon shadow equals N_R. A monstrous aura that could destroy everything rushed towards Su Fong like a huge dragon stepping on a huge wave, wanting to swallow Su Fong. Under the golden mask, Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a disdainful smile. Long Xiaojun, who used to be high and mighty, had now been surpassed by him. He was like a weak chicken, and he had an unfair advantage. Su Fong activated his Yang Meridian, which was also his lightning meridian. The Yang Qi and the power of the lightning tribulation fused into a divine might of lightning and fire that suddenly burst out. Boom! Boom! After a series of explosions, the dragon image formed by Long Xiaojuan's aura shattered like paper. The Dragon Clan's divine ability was cultivated with Dragon Qi as the foundation. Dragon Qi was also a type of demonic Qi, but it was of a higher level than ordinary demonic Qi. The big goblin feared lightning the most. Su Fong's lightning tribulation combined with the Nine-Sun immortal flame was extremely domineering, suppressing all divine abilities condensed from demonic Qi. At this time, Su Fong had only used less than half of its power, yet he easily dispelled Long Xiaojuan's seemingly earth-shattering attack. This scene caused a great shock to the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect and the Long clan's experts. In front of Gold-Face young master, Long Xiaojun, one of the 10 great young masters and the most outstanding son of immortal Emperor Tianong, was nothing but a clown. 9 palace dragons subduing nail. Long Xiaojun, who was completely enraged, didn't give up and threw out a Tao artifact, letting out a dragon roar. It was a peak supreme grade Tao artifact. It was 3 feet long and looked like a golden nail. After being thrown out by Long Xiaojun, it immediately turned into 9 dragon shadows that were more than 5 feet tall and landed around Su Fong. A terrifying dragon Qi condensed into a shackling force, trapping Su Fong in the middle. Not only was his physical body shackled, but even his primordial spirit and true Qi were shackled. Moreover, there was a strange force that was causing his true Qi to flow rapidly. My 9 palace dragon subduing nail can even shackle a peak immortal emperor expert. In the end, he will be trapped to death. Gold-Face young master, if you don't want to be embarrassed, I advise you to admit defeat as soon as possible. Long Xiaojun laughed loudly and proudly. You want to shackle me with a mere peak supreme grade Tao artifact? Young Master Long, you are too naive. A peak supreme grade Tao artifact is indeed extraordinary, but it also depends on who is using it. How much power can you use from this Tao artifact? Let me show you what a truly powerful Dharma artifact is. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. He activated the power of the World Seed and formed a World Divine aura to force the shackling force away. As for the primordial spirit, with Su Fong's primordial spirit power, he didn't need to use his second primordial spirit to easily break the shackling force. Swoosh. The flaming cloud spirit gourd was summoned by Su Fong. It immediately spurted out raging flames and turned the surroundings into a sea of fire. The incinerating power of the Nine Suns' immortal fire and the flaming cloud spirit gourd not only broke the shackling force of the Nine Palace Dragon subduing nail, but also gradually melted the Nine Dragon shadows. After the flaming cloud spirit gourd became a supreme-grade Dharma artifact, its power was terrifying. Long Xiaojuan's expression suddenly became extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and said in a cold and mysterious voice, "In the name of the Supreme Divine Dragon, in the name of the Divine Dragon, I, Long Xiaojun, deprive this person of his ability to use his divine ability." The Divine Dragon's curse? Equals N_R. Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed, and a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. In the demon sealing tower, Su Fang had experienced the Divine Dragon's curse used by immortal Emperor Tian Ang's clone. Not only was it strange and mysterious, but it was also extremely powerful. It could deprive the enemy of their cultivation, true qi, life force, and even fate. Such a divine ability was simply heaven-defying. If he didn't have a supreme divine ability like the life-shrinking art, it was very likely that he would have died at the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong. Now, Long Xiaojuan's Divine Dragon's curse was simply reckless, and Su Fang wanted to kill him. If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it from me. My life is in my own hands, not the heavens. Who do you think you are, Long Xiaojun? Do you think you can control me? Su Fang's body burned with the aura of fate. Life-shrinking art. Qi. Long Xiaojuan's divine aura was immediately incinerated by the ethereal power of fate. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it from me. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot live without me. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I am destroyed, everything will be destroyed. Su Fang's eyes suddenly exploded with ethereal light as he chanted the Tao of Fate with his nascent spirit. This was the life-shrinking art, a divine ability that could forcibly seize another's fate. As Su Fang's cultivation and yang qi increased, and his opponent wasn't a peerless expert, the life force he used to steal Long Xiaojuan's fate only made his hair turn slightly white. However, it was enough to kill Long Xiaojun. In an instant, Long Xiaojuan's draconic qi and domineering aura flowed out like a punctured balloon. Moreover, there was an ethereal power in the unseen world that forcibly seized his fate. Luo couldn't help but exclaim from the blood jade in his body, life-shrinking art, forcibly seizing another's fate. How tyrannical! Divine Dragon Curse, Long Xiaojun, stop! How dare you use my Long Clan's forbidden art on golden-faced young master? Immortal Emperor, he roared and exploded with his aura, sending Long Xiaojun flying, interrupting his Divine Dragon Curse and saving his life. Long Xiaojun instantly felt his draconic qi and imperial qi disappear completely. He seemed to have lost something intangible, and was no different from an ordinary person. The Nine Palaces' dragon-subduing nail couldn't withstand the refining power of the Nine Suns' immortal fire and flame cloud spirit gourd. It let out a miserable draconic roar and condensed back into a large nail. After falling into Long Xiaojuan's hands and being refined by the Nine Suns' immortal fire, this peak supreme-grade Tao treasure was severely damaged. It would take tens of thousands of years for it to recover. Long Xiaojun looked at Su Fang. His eyes were filled with shock and fear, as if he had just seen a fiend equals N_1 equals N_1. Everyone was shocked. This golden-faced young master was actually so powerful. A peerless genius of the Long clan was like a weak chicken before him. Immortal Emperor, he flew over and cupped his fists at Su Fang. Long Xiaojun is young and ignorant. Golden-faced young master, please don't lower yourself to his level. He didn't know how badly Long Xiaojun was injured. He was worried that golden-faced young master would be enraged and release his immortal emperor subordinate. Not to mention carefree Immortal Island, even the entire heavenly Tao immortal world would face a great disaster. You just saved his life. If there's a next time, not only him, but the entire heavenly Tao immortal world will be wiped out by this young master. Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness, and his voice was filled with murderous intent. Then, he pointed at Seven-Star Child and said, "This person is not bad. I've taken a liking to him. He'll leave the heavenly Tao White Sun sect and become my subordinate." Seven-Star Child was considered a genius disciple in the heavenly Tao White Sun sect, but he was worthless in the eyes of immortal Emperor He. He had just offended golden-faced young master, so how could he not agree to such a small request? Seven-Star Child seemed to have been hit in the head by a peerless treasure that fell from the sky. He felt dizzy and was about to float to the sky. Not only the cultivators of carefree Immortal Island, but even the experts of the Long Clan and Heavenly Tao White Sun sect were envious. Seven-Star Child, follow this young master. Su Fang brought Seven-Star Child back to the palace. Immortal Emperor, he glared at Long Xiaojun and said with his nascent spirit, "You almost brought a great disaster to the heavenly Tao immortal world. Humph, why don't you find a way to apologize to golden-faced young master?" Long Xiaojun staggered and almost fainted. How could the proud genius of the Long clan accept this if he had to apologize to golden-faced young master? Huang Lingyao suddenly said, "Please don't make things difficult for senior brother Long. Let me apologize to golden-faced young master." Junior sister Huang. Long Xiaojun suffered a heavy blow again. The woman he had chosen was trying to please another man. Which man could accept this? Huang Lingyao looked at Seven-Star Child, who followed Su Fang with a trace of doubt in her eyes. Why does this mysterious golden-faced young master want to take Seven-Star Child away? When Huang Lingyao came to visit, she was refused entry. Golden-faced young master said he would be in seclusion for a few days. Seven-Star Child. It turned out that Su Fang was going to suppress Seven-Star Child, devour his body, and fuse with his Black Lotus power. Su Fang's eyes flashed with divine light as he glanced at Seven-Star Child. He was very excited. Seven-Star Child cultivated the Black Lotus and relied on its power to become an immortal. He originally planned to use the Black Lotus to create a second true body, but who knew that it would benefit Su Fang? After Su Fang fused with it, he cultivated the Black Lotus true body. Although Seven-Star Child lost his second true body, he cultivated the power of the Black Lotus himself. Moreover, this person was really extraordinary. After coming to the immortal world from the small world for hundreds of years, the power of the Black Lotus had improved a lot. At this time, Su Fang could feel that his whole body was full of vitality. In the early morning, I habitually set yesterday's chapter to be updated regularly, and the chapter with fewer chapters will be updated at 9:00 p.m. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1352. If I devour Seven-Star Child and merge his power with the Black Lotus, my Black Lotus true body should be able to mature. When the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda becomes a supreme-grade Taoist artifact, combined with the Wood Elemental Divine Power and the Dragon-Taming Wood on my left arm, how amazing will my vitality and physical recovery ability be? I can also cultivate with the Acheron Blood Sea. There are so many benefits. Su Fang looked at Seven-Star Child as if he was looking at a rare treasure, and his heart was burning with passion. Seven-Star Sun greets Master. From now on, Seven-Star Sun is willing to lay down his life for Master. He will not hesitate to go through fire and water for Master. Seven-Star Child knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Su Fang, then made a solemn vow. Very good. Then enter my Taoist artifact world, and I'll reward you handsomely, Su Fang said lightly. Seven-Star Child was overjoyed and let Su Fang take him into the Zhenlong world. Seeing the environment of the Zhenlong world, Seven-Star Child was shocked again and then ecstatic. This time, he could climb to the top with the golden-faced young master. However, the next moment, Su Fang said in a cold voice and took off his mask. 7-star child, prepare to sacrifice your life for me. Young master, you. 7-star child looked up in shock. You are. Impossible, how is this possible? Seeing Su Fang's true face, 7-star child felt as if ice water had been poured over his head, as if the sky had been thrown into hell. He was dumbfounded. Su Fang sneered. Yes, I am Su Fang, an old acquaintance from the small world. Ah! Impossible. How many years has it been since you ascended to the immortal world? How can you suddenly become the golden-faced young master? 7-star child was shocked and couldn't believe it. Then, he was filled with despair. The hatred he made in the small world was too deep, and begging for mercy was useless. Nothing is impossible. You can't do it, but it doesn't mean I, Su Fang, can't do it. 7-star child, you owe me in the small world back then. Now use everything you have to repay me. Su Fang spoke with a lofty voice. He activated the true Dragon Realm's divine might and wrapped it around 7-star child, bringing him to the cultivation dojo. Whoosh, whoosh. Traversing through the formation, before his body could even land on the ground, he had already transformed into a blood-water state. It was as if a flood had gushed into the ground, swirling around, forming a massive blood-water vortex. This. Demonic Tao cultivator, you're actually a demonic Tao cultivator. 7-star child was scared out of his wits and fell into complete despair. A blood figure condensed in the blood vortex and said in a majestic voice, 7-star child, it's your honor to be able to become a part of my Black Lotus true body. Let's end our feud here. A bloody ribbon appeared from the bloody vortex and wrapped around the 7-star child, pulling him into the bloody water. 7-star child only had time to let out a shrill scream before his skin was corroded layer by layer. Then, his flesh, bones, and everything else, including the power of the Black Lotus, were absorbed into the blood. 7-star child had fallen and turned into Su Fang's nutrients for his cultivation. As Su Fang's cultivation level increased, the Acheron Blood Sea's devouring ability became even more astonishing. 7-star child's strength was low, so it only took a few breaths to devour his body. 7-star child's body essence and cultivation level were almost negligible to the Acheron Blood Sea. What Su Fang cared about was the power of the Black Lotus. Activating the Black Lotus true body, the Black Lotus blood threads immediately floated in the bloody water, sizzling as they absorbed the power of the Black Lotus that had been absorbed by the bloody water. The Black Lotus blood threads quickly became full and then gradually thicker. New blood threads also split out, spreading to almost every corner of the body like capillaries. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The bloody water was quickly retracted by the blood figure in the center, turning into a physical state. Activating the Black Lotus true body, a majestic aura of life burst out. The blood threads connected Su Fang's blood, muscles, meridians, bones, and even his true qi. Su Fang's body was connected by layers of Black Lotuses and blood threads, making him look like a lotus root. The Black Lotus true body had matured. This was Su Fang's first matured Black Lotus true body ability. The greatest ability of the Black Lotus true body was its vitality, which could regenerate blood. After devouring the power of 7-star child's Black Lotus, the recovery ability of the physical body was unimaginable. If combined with the Acheron Blood Sea, the Immortal Blood Spirit, and the Dragon Taming Wood, Su Fang's current physical body, even if he only had one arm left, or any part of his body, he could condense a new physical body. If he cultivated the Acheron Blood Sea to the extreme, even if he only had a head or a drop of blood essence left, he could still be resurrected. With the matured Black Lotus true body, even his true qi contained an amazing condensing ability. Su Fang was overjoyed that the Black Lotus true body had matured. Then, to Su Fang's surprise, there were more Black Lotus blood threads on the world seed, making the light cocoon of the world seed even more real. It spun a little faster, and the speed at which it absorbed the power of the world increased. Moreover, the seed in the world seed was clearly more condensed, and it was one step closer to being born equals N_1 7-star child. I really have to thank you properly. Su Fong laughed loudly and was extremely pleased. The matured Black Lotus true body has brought me many benefits. I need to continue cultivating and comprehending to be able to use it more effectively. After returning to the immortal Ao Great World, he first advanced to the realm of realm immortals, then killed 7-star child, and matured the Black Lotus true body. Good things came one after another. Master, Huang Lingyao is here again. At this time, Old Monster Candlestick's vital spirit voice came from outside the Zhenlong realm. Let's go and meet our former fellow disciples. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and sneered. He had several great enemies who came from the small world to the immortal realm. 7-star child was dead, and there was also this Huang Lingyao. Prince Shui's whereabouts were unknown, and Xing Chongxing was most likely killed by Huang Lingyao. He flew out of the Zhenlong realm. Miss Huang Lingyao, what brings you here? Su Fong, who put on the golden mask again, turned into the golden face prince again. In order to prevent Huang Lingyao from noticing, Su Fong concealed his aura, especially his purple Qi Dharma spirit, and carried an arrogant and cold aura all over his body. Huang Lingyao showed a rare charming smile and said, Prince specially sent people to the Tiandao White Sun sect to ask me to come and meet you. Why are you asking me now? Su Fong said lightly. When I came to this immortal realm, I heard about the fame of the #1 fairy, Huang Lingyao. Later, some busybody proposed a marriage alliance with you, which made me very curious. Since I came to the Tiandao immortal realm this time, I naturally wanted to meet you. Huang Lingyao stared at Su Fong, her eyes flashing, and said with a happy smile, I wonder if Huang Lingyao can enter your eyes? Huang Lingyao, are you trying to bewitch me? Su Fong sneered in his heart. Then he said lightly, You're not bad. Huang Lingyao's eyes flashed with disappointment. Obviously, she still cared about the opinion of this mysterious prince from another immortal realm. Quickly concealing her emotions, Huang Lingyao came to the seat next to Su Fong and sat down. Her voice became soft and intimate. The so-called marriage alliance proposed by those busybodies has been spread all over the world. What do you think, Prince? Su Fong laughed and asked, What do you think, Miss Huang? Huang Lingyao said decisively, If you don't mind in the future, you can help Huang Lingyao leave this immortal realm and become a supreme powerhouse. I will naturally give up everything. Give up everything? Ha ha! Su Fong laughed loudly. What a good Huang Lingyao! In order to become a peerless powerhouse, she could even devour her sister. At this time, in order to cling to power, she did not hesitate to sacrifice herself. Not only to enemies, but also to relatives and even herself, she was so ruthless. You're saying you're willing to give up everything for me? Su Fong's gaze fell on Huang Lingyao's face, then moved down, sliding past her snow-white neck, and stopping between her towering peaks. Suddenly Su Fong grabbed one of Huang Lingyao's arms and pulled fiercely. Huang Lingyao's body suddenly stiffened, and then her eyes flashed with determination. She fell into Su Fong's arms and closed her eyes, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. She looked like she was at his mercy, so tempting. Su Fong's palm rubbed Huang Lingyao's plump and soft place, then he bent his finger and lightly flicked Huang Lingyao's face. Next, he pushed Huang Lingyao out of his arms. Huang Lingyao was shocked. Prince, that young master of the Long family is here. I'm afraid he's here specifically for you? You have an unclear relationship with him. If you want to be my Taoist companion, you have to deal with him first. Su Fong said indifferently, and no one could tell whether he was happy or angry. Sure enough, a moment later, Long Xiaojun's voice came from outside the palace. Long Xiaojun is here to apologize to Prince. Su Fang waved his hand and walked to the back embarrassedly. Huang Lingyao's eyes immediately froze. Long Xiaojun, who used to do everything to please and curry favor with her, suddenly became detestable in her heart. Su Fang, on the surface you look like you don't get close to women, but you even took advantage of Huang Lingyao. You're getting more and more shameless. Law couldn't wait to mock him in the blood jade. I'm not the one taking advantage of him. He's the one taking advantage of me. Don't forget, I'm the golden face prince now. Besides, I'm not doing this to take advantage of her, but to give her hope and let her take the initiative to break off with Long Xiaojun. Huang Lingyao, didn't you do things by hook or by crook? This time, let her taste the bitter fruit of her own making. Sinister, too sinister. You took advantage of her, but still said it with conviction. You're even more despicable and shameless. Compared to Huang Lingyao's ruthlessness, I'm still far from it. Su Fang, how does it feel? Not bad. Cough, what did you say? It's plain and ordinary. How can there be any feeling? It's like touching a ball of cotton. Law laughed loudly in the blood jade. In the next few days, Immortal Emperor He of the Long family kept probing Su Fang's background. Su Fang didn't mention a word about his origin, which seemed very mysterious. But intentionally or unintentionally, he let Dugumujian, Immortal Penghua, and old monster Zhu Tian, these Immortal Emperor experts, come out to get some fresh air, which immediately shocked the experts of the Long family and the White Sun sect. On behalf of Immortal Emperor Tianong, Immortal Emperor, he invited Su Fang to the King City of the Heavenly Tao Immortal World as a guest. Su Fang couldn't refuse and reluctantly agreed. As a result, under the escort of Immortal Emperor He, the Long family, and the White Sun sect, the Golden Face Prince swaggered straight to the King City of the Heavenly Tao Immortal World. This time, when he entered the King City of the Heavenly Tao Immortal World, he would directly face Immortal Emperor Tianong. What kind of confrontation would there be? == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1353. Heavenly Law Immortal World B. King City was like a huge pearl floating in the air. At this time, the enchantment above King City opened, and a peak supreme grade Tao artifact was suspended in the air, emitting a bright golden light, making the entire King City extremely glorious. Countless immortal cities surrounded the place where the power of the Heavenly Law Immortal World gathered. Golden light shone in all directions, and immortal chi lingered around. More than a dozen immortals stood in the air. The middle-aged man in a golden Tao robe had a vast aura, as if he was the supreme ruler between heaven and earth. It was Immortal Emperor Tianong. Behind him were all peerless powerhouses of the Heavenly Law Immortal World. Beside one of them was an Immortal Emperor powerhouse in a Tao White Sun sect robe, and the rest were immortal emperors. Whoosh, a figure broke through the air and came. The person who came was wearing a purple gold Tao robe, with a palm-sized black spot on his left cheek, and a cold face with supreme arrogance. This person's aura was only slightly weaker than Immortal Emperor Tianong. He was also a powerful Immortal Emperor powerhouse. Lord Situ, why are you here? Immortal Emperor Tianong cupped his fist, and the supreme ruler of the Heavenly Law Immortal World showed a flattering smile on his face. The Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm has set up such a grand formation to welcome the golden-faced young master. I would like to see who this mysterious golden-faced young master is. Lord Situ snorted and said in a majestic voice. Immortal Emperor Tianong smiled and said, although the golden-faced young master is extraordinary and has several Immortal Emperor powerhouses under him, how can he be compared to Lord Situ? Lord Situ smiled proudly. Half an hour later, more than 10,000 Long family and Heavenly Law White Sun sect experts entered the sky above King City. Golden Face Young Master. A young cultivator wearing a golden mask suddenly became the focus of attention. For a moment, he was a bit more dazzling than the sun in the sky and the Tao artifact that scattered the light like the sun. Su Fang was also shocked by such a scene. Then he sneered in his heart, "Immortal Emperor Tianong, you set up such a big lineup, but you never dream that you would welcome an enemy who wants to take your head." Law laughed in the blood jade in his body. "Immortal Emperor Tianong, is this considered inviting a wolf into the house?" Su Fang almost stumbled. Law was getting more and more unruly. King City. Buzz, the Tao runes of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, kept flashing in his mind. Immortal Emperor Tian-ong equals N_R. Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's avatar, which was sealed in the heavenly devil blood plate, also sensed the aura of his true body and immediately began to struggle violently. This soul clone had been shackled in the heavenly devil blood plate by Su Fang and burned with demonic flames every once in a while. It had long been tortured to the brink of death. At this moment, an arrogant primordial spirit voice sounded, "Su Fang, I am here. Let's see how you can escape from me this time." Ha ha ha! A young immortal appeared in the heavenly devil blood plate. "You're thinking too much. This time, I came to the heavenly Tao immortal world's king city precisely to take the head of your original body. At that time, my original body's primordial spirit will be with you, and we'll also enjoy the feeling of being burned by the devil flames for eternity," the young immortal said sternly. Then, he shot out a devil flame that enveloped Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's primordial spirit avatar. At the same time, pain could be seen in Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's eyes. The heavenly Tao White Sun sect Immortal Emperor next to him asked with his primordial spirit voice, "My lord, are you feeling unwell? Ever since my avatar entered the giant battle canyon and never returned, my primordial spirit would feel the pain of being burned from time to time. This time, it's especially intense. It's okay, I'll just suppress it a little. Let's go and meet this mysterious Golden Face young master." "Golden Face young master, I've been waiting for you here for a long time." A hearty laughter sounded. Immortal Emperor Tian-ong came forward with the peerless experts of the heavenly Tao immortal world. Su Fangda's full power swept over. Sensing the aura of the purple Qi Dharma spirit on Immortal Emperor Tian-ong, Su Fang's eyes were cold. The third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit must be obtained. Immortal Emperor Tian-ong threatened Xuanxin Fairy and Xian Yintian's lives in an attempt to snatch the purple Qi Dharma spirit. This debt must be settled. Seeing the experts behind Immortal Emperor Tian-ong, Su Fang could not help but raise his eyebrows. The strength of the heavenly Tao immortal world was indeed incomparably strong. He cupped his fists and said proudly, "Greetings, Immortal Emperor Tian-ong." Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's eyes bloomed with divine light as he sized up Su Fang. He sensed the vast and domineering flame aura on Su Fang's body. Everything else was a piece of nothingness, which seemed incomparably deep and mysterious. Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's heart was filled with fear. He cupped his fists and returned the greeting. "Golden Face young master, I'm deeply honored to have you in the heavenly Tao immortal world's king city. Please come to my palace for a chat." Su Fang walked with his hands behind his back. He did not even look at the others. How arrogant! Many experts of the heavenly Tao immortal world all felt that the young masters of the powerful forces from other immortal realms should be so arrogant. However, Lord Situ's voice was full of disdain. "What an arrogant junior! How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Take off your mask and tell me where you came from. Let me see who you are. Who are you? How dare you be arrogant in front of me?" Su Fang smiled coldly. He scanned Lord Situ with his great perfection ability and immediately sensed that this person's aura was very similar to Immortal Emperor Tian-ang's. However, he did not come from this immortal realm. Obviously, this person was an expert from another immortal realm. He should be from the incomparably powerful force behind the heavenly Tao immortal world. "I am from the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect. How dare you say who I am? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Coward who hides his head but shows his tail, kneel down and apologize to me. Lord Situ smiled gloomily. Suddenly, a monstrous aura burst out. Monarch City and the surrounding 3,000 miles were instantly covered by his domain divine power. Even the sky was covered, as if he was the ruler of all things in this void. Kneel down. He pointed at Su Fang. The domain divine power condensed into a giant hand and slapped down on Su Fang. Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang Sect. It was the powerful force behind Immortal Emperor Tianong. It was located in the central immortal realm of the great immortal world. It was the absolute overlord force. No force could compete with it. It represented heaven, ruled the fate of all living things, and controlled the firmament. This was the origin of the name of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang Sect. How domineering it was! The heavenly mandate Hao Tsang Sect is indeed the supreme force in the endless world. With your strength, you can be found everywhere in the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang Sect. How dare you make me kneel down to you? Su Fang said in a lofty voice. Break! A voice suddenly appeared in front of Su Fang. A vast and sharp sword essence burst out, tearing the void with endless sharpness. Swish! 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 The shackles of Lord Situ's domain divine power were instantly shattered by the sword essence. The domain divine power that shrouded the area immediately disappeared. Dogu Mujian, the man who attacked, had a wild and unruly chi power. His eyes were as sharp as swords. He was the peerless sword cultivator, Dogu Mujian, who had a 10,000-year agreement with Su Fang. What a peerless sword cultivator! This man's sword essence broke Lord Situ's domain divine power. If he activates the flying sword, I'm afraid even Tranquility Emperor will have to avoid him. Golden-faced young master is indeed extraordinary. He has such a peerless sword cultivator as his subordinate. He can do whatever he wants in this immortal realm. Many experts in the heavenly Tao immortal realm were shocked to see Dogu Mujian's sword cultivator divine power. Lord Situ's eyes were also filled with fear. He looked at Su Fang and asked in a deep voice, "Who are you? Which immortal realm are you from?" Su Fang smiled proudly. "I'm from Metal Sky. My surname is Tian. You can call me Young Master Tian." Metal Sky? Which immortal realm is this force from? Tian. What a strange surname. Lord Situ's face was full of doubts. He could not think of such a big force as Metal Sky. Su Fang said, "In the grand immortal realm, there are so many secluded ancient cultivation forces. Metal Sky has not appeared for nearly 10 million years. Lord Situ from Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect, please don't make wild guesses. So it's a secluded ancient cultivation force." No wonder Lord Situ dispelled his doubts and said to Su Fang, "I'm Situ Jie from Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect in the Central Immortal Realm. I've offended you just now. Please forgive me, young Master Tian." Immortal Emperor Tianong laughed and said, "Good, good. Lord Situ is from Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect and young Master Tian is from a secluded force. It's a good opportunity to make friends." Immortal Emperor Tianong and Situ Jie, accompanied by other peerless experts in the heavenly Tao immortal realm. They followed young Master Tian into Immortal Emperor Tianong's palace. After a round of hospitality, Su Fang was arranged to stay on an immortal mountain. "Su Fang, you'd better not have a head-on conflict with people from Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect. The power of Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect is far beyond your imagination." Dogu Mujian transmitted his voice to Su Fang from the true dragon realm. This arrogant and unruly peerless sword cultivator dared to barge into the devil realm to save his beloved wife. When he mentioned Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect, he was filled with incomparable reverence. It was as if discussing this name behind their back was a great disrespect. Su Fang asked, "Is Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang Sect really that powerful? Ruling the fate of all living beings on behalf of the heavens and controlling the heavens is not empty word. Heaven's mandate Haotsong sect definitely has the strength to do so. Immortal emperors like Situ Jie and immortal Emperor Tian Ong are considered supreme rulers in this immortal realm. However, in Heaven's mandate Haotsong sect, they are just lackeys. How powerful do you think it is? Old monster Zhu Tian also chimed in. Lord Dugu is right. Heaven's mandate Haotsong sect is indeed incomparably powerful. Their might shakes the entire immortal realm. Su Fang frowned and fell into deep thought. After a long time, Su Fang's eyes shone with a ruthless and resolute light. No matter who or what force it is, I will not back down if they stop me from seizing the purple cloud Dharma spirit and killing immortal Emperor Tian Ong. A voice of praise came from the blood jade in Luo Zai's body. That's right. If you want to become a peerless expert standing at the peak of the immortal realm, you must have such fearless courage. Heaven's mandate Haotsong sect is indeed incomparably powerful, but so what? When I ascended from a small world to the immortal realm, immortal emperors were like gods. Didn't I surpass them now? If you want to reach the peak, you have to surpass those who think it's impossible. Heaven's mandate Haotsong sect is my goal in the future. Su Fang's voice was filled with strong confidence and incomparable domineering aura. This confidence and domineering aura were the peerless sharpness that Su Fang had honed step by step from a trash who couldn't cultivate in a small world to where he was now. I must plan carefully to kill immortal Emperor Tian Ong. The Heaven's mandate immortal realm has a deep foundation and is incomparable to the Great Qin immortal realm. The method of controlling the Great Qin immortal realm will definitely not work in the Heaven's mandate immortal realm. In the territory of the Heaven's mandate immortal realm, immortal Emperor Tian Ong can control the power of the world and borrow the power of the Heaven's mandate immortal realm. His strength is incomparably powerful, but my subordinates are suppressed. With the help of an expert like Situ Jie, it will be difficult to kill him. I must find a way to lure immortal Emperor Tian Ong out of the Heaven's mandate immortal realm. After killing him, controlling the Heaven's mandate immortal realm will be easy. Su Fang racked his brains to think of a way to lure immortal Emperor Tian Ong out of the Heaven's mandate immortal realm. == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1354. Under the invitation of immortal Emperor Tian Ong, Su Fang reluctantly stayed in the King City of the Heavenly Law immortal world. Su Fang's goal was very simple, to find an opportunity to lure immortal Emperor Tian Ong out of the Heavenly Law immortal world, then kill him and seize the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Second primordial spirit. In the cave, Su Fang's majestic voice sounded. Am I going to kill immortal Emperor Tian Ong? The murderous aura of the second primordial spirit grew stronger and stronger, and its voice was full of killing intent. Don't act rashly for the time being. Use your primordial spirit's power to secretly control some experts of the Long family and the Heavenly Law White Sun sect in the Heavenly Law immortal world to inquire about information. At the same time, prepare for killing immortal Emperor Tian Ong and controlling the Heavenly Law immortal world in the future. Try not to alert the enemy. That's easy. The second primordial spirit turned into a black Xian Guang and disappeared from the cave. Before going to the lightning world, Su Fang had arranged for many experts to return to their respective forces, and there were many in the Heavenly Law immortal world. Su Fang secretly contacted them to inquire about information and wait for an opportunity to act. Su Fang himself entered the Zhenlong world to cultivate the 9 Yang 9 changes, Yellow Spring Blood Sea, and other technique. The most important thing was the Black Lotus real body. After swallowing the power of 7 Star Child's Black Lotus, the Black Lotus real body finally matured. It still needed to be constantly cultivated and comprehended to be able to exert its greatest effect. 5 years passed in a flash. Zhenlong world. In the turbulent blood vortex, the bloody man Su Fang suddenly formed a seal, and from the surrounding blood, a bloody man condensed. Different from the huge bloody man Su Fang in the center, these bloody men actually separated from the yellow spring blood sea, crossed the blood vortex, and sat cross-legged on top of it. Then, the bloody man in the center of the blood vortex also separated his legs from the yellow spring blood sea and condensed into a physical state above the vortex, standing with his hands behind his back. The area of the yellow spring blood sea also shrank rapidly, less than 1/10 of its former size, only about 60 or 70 feet. There were a total of 5 blood figures. In addition to the yellow spring blood sea below and the original body above, Su Fang had actually divided his body into 7. The bloody water below was cultivating the yellow spring blood sea. The other 5 bloody figures had also entered a state of cultivation. Furthermore, the cultivation methods that they cultivated were completely different from each other. 9 suns, 9 transformations, illusory fire cloud, ethereal enlightenment, heaven's secret life shrinking technique, and tyrannical emperor's heaven soaring technique. Ha ha ha, combining the black lotus true body with the Acheron blood sea and the immortal blood spirit, I've finally achieved a major breakthrough. Su Fang's face was abnormally pale, and his aura was weak, as if his vitality had been greatly damaged. However, his face was filled with joy. The maturation of Su Fang's true body of Su Fang gave him amazing vitality and physical recovery ability. With the help of the Netherworld Sea of Blood and the method of creating the immortal blood spirit, the Netherworld Sea of Blood transformed and condensed into blood figures that were separated from the Netherworld Sea of Blood. These blood figures were somewhat similar to the immortal blood spirit, but they were completely different from the immortal blood spirit of the Netherworld Devil Emperor. They were equivalent to doppelgangers. Each doppelganger could major in different cultivation methods at the same time. As long as the blood and water were combined, the original body could integrate what the doppelganger had cultivated. Even if the original body did not need to cultivate outside, the 6 blood figure doppelgangers could cultivate and improve in the Zhenlong realm. Furthermore, they were cultivating different cultivation methods at the same time. How could such a cultivation speed not be fast? This was completely different from the doppelgangers of other practitioners. The Netherworld Sea of Blood could be separated and merged at any time. Which practitioner's doppelganger could do this? There was another huge advantage. Even if the original body was unfortunately killed, the blood figure doppelgangers could still merge and condense into a new Su Fang. However, in that case, Su Fang's strength would definitely be greatly reduced. At this time, the yellow spring blood sea's transformation had already surpassed that of the Netherworld Devil Emperor. After all, the Netherworld Devil Emperor did not have as many physical abilities as Su Fang. Moreover, Su Fang's blood figure doppelgangers were different from the immortal blood spirit. They did not need to worry about being detected by the will of heaven and being punished by heaven. Of course, Su Fang's current cultivation was still far from that of the Netherworld Devil Emperor. Splitting into 7 was already his limit. Moreover, the original body was very weak and could not exert its original strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang's original body made a seal. The 3 blood figures immediately collapsed and turned back into blood and were sucked into the original body's mouth. After merging the 3 blood figure doppelgangers, the original body's aura suddenly became vast. It was just that his face was a little pale. As for the remaining 3 doppelgangers, one cultivated the 9 changes of the 9 suns, and the other cultivated the life-shrinking skill. The doppelganger in the blood state naturally cultivated the yellow spring blood sea. At the same time, it constantly merged with the Netherworld Samsara sword. These 3 cultivation methods were the most important to Su Fang. The benefits brought by the maturing of the Black Lotus true body were far more than that. It was because Su Fang's physical body had reached perfection. He had also devoured a Tao body and cultivated the yellow spring blood sea, which allowed the various physical abilities to perfectly merge. At this time, the maturing of the Black Lotus true body would definitely cause a new round of transformation of the various physical abilities. In the past few years, Su Fang's overall strength had also increased by a large margin. It was mainly because of the huge harvest in the Great Qin Immortal Realm. There were so many cultivation resources. With old monster Zhu Tian, an alchemy expert, in charge of the Alchemy Dao Hall, the alchemy skills of the entire Alchemy Dao Hall had improved by leaps and bounds. With the blue flame golden sun cauldron, the supreme-grade yin-yang immortal sky pills were continuously refined. With all kinds of resources, yin-yang immortal sky pills, the experts under Su Fang and the Big Goblin had improved rapidly. What comforted Su Fang was that the sky-piercing demon Venerable, the undying tortoise, the wooling goblin, and the other powerful big goblins who had ascended to the immortal realm with him from the small world had all become demon emperors. Of course, among the big goblins, Bai Ling, who had mastered the power of chaos, was the most powerful. Even the Green Feather Emperor could only be ranked behind her. However, it was not as if there was nothing that annoyed Su Fang. First, the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce had repeatedly lowered the prices of Su Fang's elixirs and Dao artifact. They were incomparably overbearing. Su Fang had no choice but to let Wang Yuzhen establish her own sect. However, under the suppression of the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce, Wang Yuzhen's days were getting more and more difficult. There was another depressing matter. Fairy Xuanxin had entered the ice field of the Zhenlong realm to gain experience. It had been a long time since she had dual cultivated with Su Fang, which made Su Fang very depressed. Huang Lingyao visited him from time to time. However, Su Fang did not dare to take advantage of her and pretended to be polite with her. He also did not find a chance to attack Immortal Emperor Tianong. The main reason was that Immortal Emperor Tianong was seriously injured in the fight with Tranquility Emperor and did not dare to leave the Immortal Realm. Second Primordial Spirit secretly controlled many experts of the Long family and the White Sun sect, mainly those below the realm of Immortal Six Path. Those with higher cultivation did not dare to attack. Experts with such cultivation were the giants of the Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor Tianong and Situjia from the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect were not simple people. If they discovered any clues, it would be self-defeating. After returning to the immortal Ao Great World, Su Fang also sent people to investigate the whereabouts of the young master of the Divine Palace, Gong Yu. However, they could not find any trace of this mysterious young master. Perhaps he thought that Su Fang had already died and went to the boundless secular palace. Su Fang was worried about the origin of the Purple Cloud's Dharma spirit. He continued to send people to investigate. Deity. Whoosh! A black Xian Guang appeared. It was the second primordial spirit that had left the body of the immortal demon monster. The White Sun sect attacked the White Cloud Immortal Palace and returned with a crushing defeat. Even the sect master was seriously injured. The news brought by the second primordial spirit shocked Su Fangda. It turned out that the immortal realm of the immortal realm had been expanding and annexing many immortal realms. Long before Su Fang came to Monarch City, the immortal realm of the immortal realm had been secretly preparing to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. After Su Fang received the news from his subordinates in the immortal realm of the immortal realm, he sent people to inform the White Transformation Immortal Lord in advance. At the same time, he also sent Ghoul and some unexposed experts to the Lord of Five Poisons. The White Cloud Immortal Realm, where the White Cloud Immortal Palace was located, was the most powerful immortal realm in the Yuan Fortune Great World. When the Tranquility Emperor's mansion annexed the Yuan Fortune Great World, the White Cloud Immortal Palace suffered heavy losses. They had no choice but to withdraw from the Yuan Fortune Great World and enter the immortal realm of the Sky-bearing Great World. Since the Sky-bearing Great World had been annexed by the immortal realm of the Heavenly Tao, the White Sun sect naturally would not sit by and watch. They sent experts to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. The White Cloud Immortal Palace has become so powerful? Su Fang originally thought that even if the White Cloud Immortal Palace had made preparations in advance and had the help of Ghoul and his subordinates, the best result would be a stalemate with the White Sun sect. He did not expect them to be so powerful that the White Sun sect suffered a crushing defeat and even injured their sect master. It's all thanks to Li Haojie. According to the news, in the past few hundred years, Li Haojie followed an expert from the White Cloud Immortal Palace to a dangerous place to train. This time, he suddenly returned. Not only did his strength increase greatly, but he also controlled 1,000,000 big goblins. Among them was a powerful big goblin comparable to an immortal emperor. He caught the White Sun sect off guard and defeated them. 1,000,000 big goblin, Li Haojie, is indeed a tribulation taker and a demon catcher. Controlling 1,000,000 big goblins, what a terrifying scene that is. Su Fang was very shocked and excited. He could not wait to meet Li Haojie and the Lord of Five Poisons. After a long time, Su Fang said decisively, "The reason why we can't find a chance to attack Immortal Emperor Tianong is that we have not gained his trust. Why don't we go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace and subdue it on behalf of Immortal Emperor Tianong? We can use this opportunity to lure Immortal Emperor Tianong out of the immortal realm of the Heavenly Tao." Whoosh, leaving 3 doppelgangers to cultivate in the True Dragon Realm, Su Fang flew out of the True Dragon Realm. He activated the life-shrinking technique and found Immortal Emperor Tianong's location. He passed through the array and came to a palace. It turned out that Immortal Emperor Tianong had gathered the higher-ups of the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm to discuss continuing to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Su Fang barged into the main hall. Immortal Emperor Tianong laughed heartily. "Long time no see. I heard that young Master Tian is cultivating in seclusion. How come you have time to come here today? It's too boring to stay in the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's King City." "I've decided to go to other worlds," Su Fang said lightly. Immortal Emperor Tianong was shocked. "Young Master Tian, you're leaving?" Su Fang's eyes scanned the hall. "So many people are gathered here. Is there something fun in the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm?" "Something fun?" Everyone smiled bitterly. This young Master Tian from the Metal Sky was not only arrogant and domineering, he was also a playboy. Immortal Emperor Tianong did not hide anything. He slowly told Su Fang about the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Then, he tried to persuade Su Fang to stay. "I've been busy with the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Please forgive me for not treating you well. Why don't you stay for a few more days? I'll personally accompany you on your tour of the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm." "The White Cloud Immortal Palace? There's a demon catcher here? How interesting! Since I have nothing to do, I'll go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace and meet that demon catcher. If I can suppress him and take him as my subordinate, my trip to the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm will not be in vain," Su Fang said with a smile. Immortal Emperor Tianong raised his eyebrows. His eyes shone brightly. "Is that so? I'll go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace now. Arrange for someone to lead the way. I promise that I'll hand over the White Cloud Immortal Palace to the Immortal Emperor in one piece. When the time comes, the Immortal Emperor can go and receive it personally." Su Fang's domineering voice echoed in the main hall. Then, he left in embarrassment. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review.